Hello and welcome, Race Brain Podcast. What's going on? My name is Rich Ryan. Joining me, as always, Bracken Crocker, Jack Bauer. Today, we have lots to talk about. We're talking about the DEKAFIT World Championships that happened over the weekend. We're going to talk about HYROX in Stockholm, Sweden. And at the end, about an hour, we're going to try to wrap that up in about an hour. And then we are going to draft for Spartan 3K World Championships in Abu Dhabi. So this is a very exciting episode, mostly because we got a new accessory to our podcast life.
Times three.
We got these arms. They're swinging. They're close. My posture is correct. I'm not bent over. So I feel like my takes are going to be locked in. BK, you did not have racing over this weekend. How did you consume everything? There was so much to consume.
Kids go out the window.
Priorities, man.
They either watch it with you or too bad.
We had some issues, though. Our internet went out this weekend, so I was hotspotting, and it tested my limits as a fan. But we came
made it happen.
Yeah,
that's tough because with all that, the coverage in general, I thought across DEKA and HYROX was pretty impressive.
Very good.
I didn't watch Mile or Strong yet. Jack, I believe those were the one we had.
Oh, of course. You didn't do Mile.
I turned on. I was like, oh, never mind. I'm turning this
I don't like that
off.
guy.
I watched those last night. I watched Mile day of. I watched Strong last night.
Strong was strong.
I've got to say they need to turn down the speakers at the venue if you're gonna have commentary there. We were just screaming for 4 hours, and we're not trying to. We just want to talk like this when we're announcing and stuff. But man, you gotta turn the volume down just a little bit, and I think we'd be able to hear Jeff a little bit more clearly and Mark and if you just turn the speakers down.
I have thoughts about all this, and I think we'll probably get to that. I'll save my thoughts on production for later. Right. Other than that, the video super watchable across the board, and HYROX made a dumb decision, I thought, by putting them early in the morning. All the majors, they run the pros in the afternoon or evening. And so everyone can watch it here. And selfishly, I couldn't because it went off at like 2 a.m. And I could, but it's not world's toughest. I'm not pulling an all-nighter for a HYROX major.
So there's a ton of results to go over, and for DEKA, we want to debate who came out of it with the best weekend. But let's just kind of go through some of the results real quick. On the DEKAFIT side, on the women's, we had Morgan Scholes taking that W, a surprise for some. Tara Jackson ended up second, Lauren Griffiths third, Camilla Massa fourth, Chris Rogloski in fifth. On the dude side, Rylan Shadag taking that W, not as much of a surprise necessarily. David Magida running his way into second place. Nick Riker getting his first world level podium in third. Dylan Scott fourth. VJ Jones fifth. Where'd you end up, Jack?
14, I want to say. Yeah. Came 13. In ranked 20th. I'll take it.
32.
I got a little help from you and Ken not finishing, but
you're welcome.
Yeah.
They got your back.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
I'm taking that as a W over Kent, by the way.
Yeah.
250 meters further.
Yeah.
And then on let's go into DEKA Mile.
You want to just do fit? Let's talk about that, and then you want to do one distance at a time.
I give all the results first so that we can talk about who had the best weekend.
Yes.
All right. I just didn't want to blow by one outstanding result, for instance. But yeah,
right.
No, I'm still sick, Rich.
I'm still sick.
Kirk's sick. You're sick.
Rich was coughing on everybody there.
Anybody came close. Yeah. Kent, again, he's patient zero. He's the issue. If anyone's sick after DEKAFIT weekend, that's Ryan Kent's fault.
Kent has had a hell of a streak recently between getting you sick and getting himself sick, and then just being a real nice guy on the plane afterwards. He's had
that was amazing.
That was hilarious.
High level Ryan Kent stuff there. In DEKA Mile, Tara Jackson wins this one, where the previous year she was third. So this is her collective. She now has a world championship
golden crown
in all of that. Yes. Lauren Griffith was second here. Camilla Massa third. Alondra Greenlee moved up to fourth in this, and then Sarah Grippy was fifth. Great result for her on her end on the second heat. Yeah, for sure. On the men's side, Rylan Shadag was pretty much solo on this 17 flat. Ryan Kent finished second here. Marcus Wallace coming in third. everybody getting Wallace here. Colin Steefer 4th, Nick Riker finishing 5th. Cole Walkington, he had a good weekend. He outperformed his seed on a lot of these.
He was going to be one of the names that I mentioned. A lot of those times from the Fort Wayne event, I was like, I don't know about this, but everybody who ran fast there ran even faster
That's
here.
True.
So I buy into it now. I was a little skeptical at first, but that was definitely short-sighted.
In DEKA Strong, Alondra Greenlee takes that W. Camilla Massa finishing 2nd. Carly Wopat 3rd. Raquel Ferris in 4th. Tara Jackson finishing 5th. On the men's side, Kevin Bubbles Gregory coming through with an all-time performance. Unbelievable performance. Riley Shattuck finishing 2nd. Ryan Kent out-leaning Marcus Wallace at the tape for 3rd. Colin Steefer rounding out the top 5 in 11:29. I don't know if we need to go through all of the team stuff. It seems like
just mention that Kevin, Eric, and David had a weekend.
We'll go ahead and yes, that will be covered here. So now we are going to decide collectively who came out on top of this weekend, who raised their status, who should be feeling the best out of everybody who participated. Who wants to go first?
Bracken, you watched.
All right, then. I think there's 2 different categories there. Who raised their status the most? I can't think it's anyone other than Morgan Schultz. Now, you said it was a surprise to some people. I think it was a surprise to everyone, because even the people in her camp that believed she could still had to have been surprised that she actually did, because winning a world title in something with 20 opportunities for things to go wrong is just so difficult to do. But then also the manner in which she won, where she looked like she was clearly the best from the jump, and that she was running in a different, like competing in a different level of exertion and control than everyone else there. And I think that was the biggest surprise. We said beforehand, all 3 of us here said that on paper, she brings the best skill set to the sport in terms of highest running plus highest current strength capacity. Like, she has the best combination of both. We just haven't seen her actualize yet. And we just did. So I think she raised the stock the most. And on the men's side, it's Nick Riker. I think his stock raised the most. He went from the Riker line to a world podium.
Right.
And
need a new line.
We need a new line. I still think it should be the Riker line.
He was in 2nd place for 28.5 minutes.
Yeah. So for column 1, who raised their stock the most, I think those 2, their stocks jumped the highest. So Nick's maybe was a capstone on it. It was rising all year. But this just like put the cherry on it.
And he was winning races or performing in races basically the same, like for like 30-20. That's what he would run. Whoever was there that could run faster than him would beat him. Whoever would run slower would not beat him. But he improved his time considerably, dipping under that 30-minute mark, which is proving to be very challenging. So and putting himself really
up to 6 people now, 5-6 people.
Nah, maybe, I don't know.
You, Kent, Rylan, Magida, Dylan, and Nick.
And probably Nick. Yeah, the 6th one to get under.
DJ just missed it a couple times.
So it's hard to do. And he pushed all of his chips in and came out with an awesome performance, honestly.
All right. You go ahead, Bracken.
Well, he had the culmination of a season. We used to talk about that Nick was just like that sophomore in high school who would just blast out in cross country and then fade and get a little farther each time. And then this year he started racing in like a savvy intellectual manner and ran the same time in a couple different styles. And then here he went back to aggression, but it was tempered aggression with new fitness. It's like he learned for a year and a half, 2 years, and put everything he learned into one race where he did go back out and push into the top 2 the whole race, but still had the fitness and know-how to hang on. I think that to me was like a really satisfying watch to see his evolution as a racer, not just as an athlete.
I think Nick was that guy who could throw 100 miles an hour but not touch the strike zone. Then he learned how to throw strikes, and then he learned how to throw strikes at 100 miles an hour. Like, everything started to come together. You saw that talent early on. He just couldn't piece it together, and then you like that, Bracken.
Jealous.
Why didn't I think of that?
That was good.
That was a good one.
So, and on Morgan's end, the way that you mentioned how she raced, I agree that the way like how she looked out there, she was in control very much, but also she got passed in the second half of this race, which generally you don't come back from, and she did. Like we've talked about it a couple times. Whoever comes out of the ski erg, often it's like that's where things can really kind of catch up to you. If you've overcooked yourself, that's where things really start to struggle. She did struggle on ski erg, came out, rallied, blasted the assault bike, and then closed harder than everybody else. And it's worth noting this course, I would not consider this to be a fast DEKA setup. Generally, DEKA is fairly standardized, right? The floor in this venue was slippery. Jack, did you have any issues with this? Do you feel like the floors?
I didn't.
What'd you wear for shoes?
The ones that Chris wore.
Rogoski specials.
Yeah. The
Rivera?
Ultra Rivera 2 or Riviera.
Yeah, you're basically out there barefoot, so there's no real slippage. But my shoes were slipping. We're in the Endorphin Pro 3s, and the turns were really tight. It was a more narrow setup than I think we've seen in the past, which kind of you turn into another turn.
You ever seen that like the 1896 Olympics where it's just this really, really long oval with just instead of a nice rounded banked corner like you have on a modern day track, it kind of felt like that.
Yeah.
You just had big straightaways and like a really narrow. What?
They had indoor Olympics?
No. That like the 1896 Olympics.
Oh, you said banked track. I got all excited about indoor track.
Yeah.
Track is back.
No banking.
Track is back.
Flat
track. With Morgan's time of 32:36, that was faster than Tara's time, which was the world record at the time last year, which was 32:44. And the world
Tara
record
basically ran the same exact time this within a couple seconds again.
Yeah, she was 32:49. So it's not like Tara was off of her game by that much. And considering the course, you could easily say it's like, oh, she might be in the exact same type of fitness that she was last year. And only a couple seconds off of Meg's record, right? What's Meg? 32:29?
Yeah.
I think. So this wasn't like, and that was really the story coming in was we're missing the top two and then the top three as Vivian unfortunately had COVID. But I don't know, like, yes, of course, like Meg and Lauren are going to bring a whole different dynamic and they'll probably elevate things to quite a bit. But Morgan finishing with this time, it's almost like no doubt. It wasn't like that she won in like a 33 flat or something.
Yeah.
She came out there and really performed.
And she, I don't believe, is weaponizing her run yet.
You're right.
Which is kind of the cool thing.
I looked at the top splits. The top three women all ran 1907 or 1908.
Oh, wow.
I think she's faster than that. But it basically came down to who's better at the zones at that point because they were identical runners on the surface.
Yeah, she looked several times while she was running like someone who was totally in control. Now, visuals are always tricky, but like the way her eyes were looking around and her even like facial language changes throughout a race, and her stayed pretty aware. Like there was stuff going on. She was calculating. She looked to me like someone who knew exactly what she could do and decided just to do her own thing and not stray from it. And that means she's not really trusting or hammering the run yet. So she has a higher ceiling than some of these women right now, just from her run perspective and her reps doing this.
Right. Because she qualified at that Fort Wayne race as
she was
well.
34, 30 something.
Right. On a course that
2 minutes
was
faster.
Fast. That was a fast. Well, what do we think that course was fast by, Jack? Like 30 seconds did we decide?
Most people who ran there, like on the guys' side, were setting PRs between 45 and 60 seconds. And I was like, this either everyone's getting fit at the right time or something's fast.
They didn't have
course because
that was a road show, so they didn't have the DEKA set up for everything. So they did like over shoulders, and I think they did like like there's some time there. And
they added more reps for the over shoulders to account for not having the wall and stuff. But yeah, end of the day.
The only piece to that is that being a Midwest race, it was the only option for a lot of these people, which means they just haven't raced as much, so they will PR more often.
Yeah, that's
like a bunch of people did PR there that had only run once prior.
Yeah, Marcus's was his first time. Yeah, like, so yeah, and I think that was the case with Morgan. She hasn't had a lot of reps in terms of how to do this thing in a couple of seasons. And yeah, I talked to her after, and she had the lead early, and we were talking before, and it was very much like be cautious, hang in there. And she was like, they just weren't running as fast as I wanted to run. I felt like I was in control and I could just go. I was like, great. And that's exactly what you should have done.
Yeah, if you look at her cumulative gap, she was actually in about 7 seconds behind at Farmer's Carry, and then never gave up the lead after air bike.
Right. That's like quite a bit.
Yeah. And she had the lead after box step overs, and then was like a second behind med ball throw and stuff. So she was right there early on, never really too far back at all.
I think the surest sign of someone who is really, really, really fit is someone who finds themselves in first without trying to be. Like, there are people who clearly try to insert that. Like, Rylan will try to insert himself into a race. And in HYROX, Hunter and Kent are going to go out and do their thing early. It's the person that suddenly finds themselves in a position like, I don't think the rest of them are doing what I planned on doing. That right there is when you're in for a special race, because she didn't have to press to get there. And that is everything in a hybrid race.
Yeah. If we have, are you done with Morgan? Do you want to add some more people or talk a little more on her?
No, I mean, I think we covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
I also had Riker down just with that ascension. He was battling in the DEKA mile as well, but he pushed his chips in, man, and it really paid off for him. So I'm really happy for him. I'm proud of his efforts that he put there, and he needed to get faster. He got faster, needed to like up his commitment. He did that, and things are really clicking for him. So he's working on a formula that I think that will pay dividends for him down the line as well.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely really happy for Nick seeing it all come together and stuff. And I don't think that you can be like, oh well, Rich dropped out, Kent dropped out, because Nick was racing all year. Like, you look at his head-to-head record against a lot of people, like, he's had a fantastic season, and he upped his game. And I don't know, I'm really happy for him that he took that next step. And
on that day, like, I wasn't gonna beat him. Like, in my condition, Kent wasn't gonna beat him in his condition. Like, whatever. If the race was 3 weeks earlier, maybe it's different, but it wasn't. It was when it was, and he was prepared when it came time to be prepared. So exactly. I don't think the dropouts have anything to do with it, because we weren't doing very well anyway.
No, Nick was in second place, like I said, for 28 and a half out of a 29.5 minute race. Like, that's well deserved on the podium. Magida closed crazy. You do not want him behind you on burpees reeling you in on burpees at the end. And that was basically, I could see the writing on the wall as Magida was closing it on Nick, but I was like, I think Nick's got enough to hang on. So I was really pumped to hear that he got that podium. But my pick for the biggest riser, Lauren Griffith.
Nice.
Like, you saw what she did. She was basically battling side by side with Morgan Schultz for most of DEKAFIT. She took the lead right at the end. I think at sled, she was still in the lead.
After air bike, she was in the lead after ski.
DEKA mile?
Oh, mile. I'm sorry.
Mile, yeah. I was gonna say, I thought she was leading at zone 9 at one point, right next to Camilla.
Yes, she took the lead from Camilla, and then Tara was right behind her.
And then she was in heat 2 of DEKA Strong, finished 9th. That's kind of a hard position to be in when you don't have the competition next to you. But the bottom line, I was just impressed by her tactics. We heard that she's training with Lauren Weeks at the moment. So Lauren. You could see it clearly tactically, like, just went out, asserted herself right from the beginning. And I think that Lauren Griffith found the race style that is really good for her at this point. Like, she's always been pretty good at OCR, and we saw her do HYROX. She ran in the 64s. That's obviously a fantastic time. We knew that she was on the verge of something special. But just the confidence at which she went to the front and hung on for most of the race, I was very impressed with.
She's not afraid, man. I like the way that she races as well. It's like, I know, and we saw this in the 3K series as well. She's like, I'm just gonna go. I don't care who's here. I know I'm fit. I'm gonna be there.
I like how she runs too. I like her form. That
good arm swing.
There's a lot of running styles in hybrid, and hers is pleasing to watch. She looks like someone who's in control of her effort, even though she's like riding that line.
So I like that one, Jack, and like finishing on the podium in 2 or 3 races. We haven't necessarily seen her in a championship race.
No.
Right? So
not like a high level one at this point. She wasn't even in the Elite 15 at HYROX when she ran her 64.
Right. And that was so she won that pro race in Chicago, and then it was that Amy Bevilacqua who ended up running in the Elite 15. over in Stockholm, and then it was Morgan. So they were pretty close there as well. So those two. How old's Lauren?
Probably can't be too much older than Morgan and like Nick. She's probably in that late like 27, 28 range, just plus or minus a couple of years.
So it's good for the future. They're going to be battling for some time now.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm up. Do it.
Me. Gotta put Kevin Gregory on this, man.
Oh, yeah.
He is who we thought he could be.
Yeah. I think he ended up with 3 team wins in co-ed fit, co-ed mile, and co-ed strong teams.
With 3 partners, 3 separate partners.
3
Guess who's the
partners.
only consistent piece there? Like, no disrespect to his teammates, but it's like, you have Kevin on your team, you're going to win. That makes a huge difference.
They were good partners, too. It was,
of course.
It was Lauren Griffith in the fit, Carla Rotondi, who ended up winning her age group in DEKAFIT, and then it was Amber Tate. Like,
yeah, no, like I said, no disrespect to any of them. But he was the reason that they went from not leading their heat to leading their heat. And every single time, same thing. He did the same strategy in his solo race. It's like he's just deadly on the one thing that makes the biggest difference, and just catapulted himself to the top of the sport in that element.
It is so almost painful to watch his strategy, because you're right. There's only one of the 20 stations where you can make up more than what would we say, 15 seconds?
Burpees would be maybe the other one where you can
and
have
if you
a
take
better...
out if you take out burpees or maybe sled, the rest are like 5 to 10 second swings.
Yeah.
You're doing a 150 versus a 145 on the ski erg or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and so he took like an engineering approach and said, if I take emotions and feelings out of it, this is the logical place to take an advantage over everyone. But we all know exactly what that feels like and what that would cost you and what those dead balls next would feel like, what the sled would feel like, and then what the burpees would feel like. And he took a measured approach to getting there, and then just had to suffer more than anyone else for the last 3 stations, knowing that best case scenario, I hold on. That's not a super delightful way of racing. And he just pulled it off. We've seen people try this strategy, but he's the first person to dominate a world championship using it.
Because this setup is not necessarily advantageous for athletes who need to deploy this strategy because of the movement between the stations. The transitions are a little bit longer, and the less you have to move from station to station after you are completely obliterated from the bike, the better. And we've seen him put up really good gym times as well. And last year at the World Championships, he was a name we were looking out for, and it didn't pan out for him the way that we had potentially projected. So for him to execute this way, to be close enough in the battle to be able to get off of the bike before the Ryland Shadags, before the Ryan Kents, before the Marcus Wallaces, who can capitalize on every single station all the way to that point, and him be able to put time on those 4 athletes, those 3 athletes in that one single spot, it's just amazing. Like, and for him to be able to hold his energy, like, did you see him skiing?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It was like he's barely moving.
He gained it. He got into position so that he could chill on the ski. And we haven't seen this precise version of this tactic yet. And he just nailed it.
He was like he was hinging at the ski instead of like actually squatting down, saving his leg. Yeah,
he's kind of just tricep pull downs.
Barely hinging. Yeah,
and he's big enough and strong enough that he was probably. Still,
I'm not doing that at 180 pounds.
Yeah,
48 or 50, but
he did
the most economical ski I've ever seen.
And he did a good job of, like, essentially banking time. He was the first out of the lunges, chilled in the row, got to the step overs, and like where we've seen athletes like Ryan Corning or even like a Ryan Geiger who just like lose contact because it's like chill until the bike. He was like, go hard,
he did a fartlek.
Relax. Yeah, he did a fartlek. Yeah. Like a strong fartlek.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an on-off. It was an over-under workout, and he nailed it.
We're always talking about in OCR, it's like Johnny Luna Lima has this weapon, his downhill ability, and certain people have just unreal climbing ability in the second half that no one else can hang with, and you don't want VJ near you in an obstacle gauntlet at the end. And this is just another one of those world-class weapons that was just so impressive to see. I don't know if you could pick it up on the broadcast, like how crazy the place was going.
It was awesome
when Kevin was making, like, that was some of the, like, one of the best environments I've ever been in for a race. Just seeing everybody lose it when he went from, you know, fourth to first and whatever he was doing.
Even the actual power curve of his bike, if you could pull it off, it wasn't the crazy spike early.
Right.
It was the most economical power spike I've ever, because I've seen people get on and try to do 15 cals in 20 seconds. And they just are at 100% and then they lose as it gets closer to, he revved it a little bit and then hit it. Like he burnt into it. So he didn't
pedals. Yeah.
He burnt the fewest amount of matches while burning all his matches.
Slowly burning them all.
Everything was measured. It was really cool to watch. Like that was a pure, just like a plan that came together perfectly.
Yeah. He's an absolute advocate of the sport too. You know, he's a gym owner, an affiliate member, and he had a bunch of athletes down there who performed really well that are part of his smaller community and on this other, that is part of this other small community. But he, you know, so people are rooting for him, and to see him get this type of success. And then he's been in or around this fringe sport since like basically the beginning, right? So to have him have this kind of win at this point of his career is amazing.
I was really proud, like in a little brother way, and like I met him at stadiums and such, but spent my first time with him in Killington. We shared an Airbnb, and he's prepping for the Ultra. And now he's winning a world championship in the strong.
In
you couldn't think of two more dichotomous events than those two, but he's just like I was looking at this big, strong man doing an ultra thinking, how does he do this? Now I'm looking at this bigger, stronger man winning strong thinking, how does he do it? It doesn't compute, but he's grinded for so many years. I don't know who doesn't get excited for him.
We talked about like the best range a few episodes ago, and he has gone obstacle failure free in an entire 24-hour ultra event at one point, and then he wins an 11-minute race for a world championship. Like that career range is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who else?
This is a not a person, but I think team races. Those were so exciting. Like I think the mile, watching that, you're basically doing 10 by 200 fast, like really fast, seeing people chase things down. And sometimes the balance team would come out ahead. Sometimes the polarizing would come out ahead, and or the where you have a very strength oriented athlete like a Kevin Gregory and a really fast runner. And I just love the back and forth of that. I thought it was such an exciting format.
Kent and I were watching the teams. We're like, damn, man, we should have done this. Yeah. Like, it was really cool. And that's another thing. Like a couple episodes ago, where I was like, should Spartan race just be stage racing? Like, should DEKA just be team racing? Is that going to be what's best here? Like that this is just like a team fun event, because it really is exciting the way that they've laid out this like relay style format. I really like it.
I'm going to rain on parades here.
Nice.
I ended up skipping through those in the coverage because it doesn't come through the same. I know exactly what you're talking about because we ran track, and I only went to nationals on a relay. So indoor relay, DMR,
that's you
4x4 is the closest to this that I could imagine, and it's electric indoor. And so this had to have been electric in person, but because the race gets so segmented, it's hard to really track what matters all the time. And so it can't possibly come through yet. I think there's ways that they're going to figure it out, but they did a good job presenting it, but it lost the magic, where the strong was more magical to me than the team was. And the fit was more magical than the team was in terms of all of it. And so it doesn't, for the viewer, it doesn't yet capture how cool the event is.
Maybe I don't even know if you could have rabbits hanging with the people with how fast they're going, like doing hairpin turns. That would be a nasty fartlek workout. But
I don't know.
I don't know, like watching Taylor Haney and Colin Steefer go head to head against Eric Williams and David Magida during that mile, and just the strategy changes where David and Eric got off the rower, switched it. They got off the air bike, they switched, and instead of having one person do it and looked like they were just a little bit behind, and then suddenly they just had a little bit more juice on the sleds and they traded off at the right moment during the farmer's carry. Just seeing all the strategy that went into it and paid off. I think that it was so fun to watch. And that happened every single relay, whether it was the women's only strong or the co-ed fit relay. I just thought the relays were super fun to watch.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm not hating
Noted.
on the relays.
Hater.
Just in person versus on screen,
Yeah,
live sports come through much differently.
I get it.
Hating ass. Bracken, you got somebody else?
Yeah, I think it was a coronation for Rylan as maybe most impressive athlete on the planet from a hybrid OCR perspective. It confirms in my mind that he has the most special engine I've ever seen in my life. I just don't comprehend how he translates his engine to any modality, and it seems to arrive in the same capacity across all of them. He has the ability to surge, the ability to compromise around, the ability to put out on stations, the ability to be powerful and fast. He took the best lines running of any athlete out there. He hit every curve tight. He hit the apex. Like everything he did was the most impressive version. And he's doing it all at the end of a season where he did everything impressive. It was a coronation to me that he is so much better holistically than anyone else in the world right now.
That's like almost what I had written down in the notes for him is like top in the world, right? Just like the way that he is able to go from sport to sport and show out the same kind of way. And plus it was a bit of redemption from the previous year where he finished third and fit. He was like fifth and strong and second in mile. For him to come out and say, like, I want to win this Triple Crown, which I just think it was Cheryl Snow who won the Triple Crown out of all categories.
Really?
That's going to be a Jack Bauer trivia question in like 10 years.
Check that out, because I think Cheryl has 6 DEKA championships in a row. So
she was getting nervous because there was someone who was within like 30, 40 seconds of her in mile, and she's like, oh, she's a really strong athlete. I talked with her and Jacob before, but that's impressive. Congrats.
I think that's 6 in a row. So she has the longest active streak.
Yeah.
How old is she?
Compile this. She's in the 55 to 59.
I thought what's her name? Brooklyn Nichols. I thought that she went like 12:47 in strong and like 20 low. I don't know if she won fit, but like there's no way that she got beaten in either of the other two.
She may have won Triple Crown. I haven't seen this come out yet, but yeah, you might be right.
It's to the point where with Rylan, if we had to draft without knowing the event, he would be the consensus. He'd be the smartest number one to choose. Like it could be a strong, it could be a super, it could be a beast, it could be a trifecta weekend, it could be a 24-hour event. We don't know what it's going to be. You have to draft your team first, and then we spin the wheel to find out what the event is. I think he's the one that you would have to go to first because he is the best at everything. Not all at one time, but all of them in one weekend or 1 year. I think he has the highest cumulative finish.
Send him to go face the aliens?
Yeah, if the aliens wanted to battle in one hybrid or OCR event and we didn't get to know what it was until the start line, he's who I choose.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Yeah, Brooklyn did win all 3, and she actually she was really good. She would have been top. Yeah, she would have been like top 10 in elite and probably in all these as well.
Yeah,
so,
she was like 20 mid in mile. That's really good. In 12:47, she would have like missed the podium by a second for strong. Like that was a good weekend for her.
For sure.
Yeah. One more thing on Rylan Bracken. Did it come through on the TV how fast, or you didn't watch mile solo, did you? Oh, you did. Okay. You skipped teams. How fast Rylan got off the sleds and ran like 4:30 mile pace heading out of there, sprinting before he even reached did that pick up on camera?
It did. It because he looked a little bit fatigued coming into that. And then he got out and laid down like the first 200 of his 5 was legit fast. It's just different.
Built different.
And I would say he's kind of the opposite of what Kevin Gregory did, where he didn't seem to have as many tactics in play. He also doesn't have this like world-class economy of motion or movement. He kind of can thrash. He throws his body the most on the rower of the top guys.
Yeah.
He has the most extraneous movement during things, but he just puts out power in a way that doesn't crumble like no one I've ever seen.
Excuse me. It's interesting that his mile was almost the exact same time as last year with him and Ken.
Yeah.
And his fit was literally the same time that mine was last year and slower than his personal record. Where he saw the biggest improvement from year over year was the strong, where he took probably almost 20 some seconds off of just the strong. So
Less running?
What's that?
He was forced to cross train with his foot issue for a while.
Yeah. So that's really where he's seen improvements. So potentially his running may have been in a better spot in last year, and now his station work is just so much improved. So he has more room to even grow.
I mean, after what we saw at HYROX Chicago, it's like, how can his running be too much better? That was ridiculous there. Yeah.
What was strong to strong like compared to last year, the actual course?
This year was made way more sense.
You had your own lane.
I mean, in terms of running and time, and should this have been a faster?
Probably similar.
Pretty similar. Like the distance that you'd have to travel. Last year, you kind of had to go around and get into stations. This time, you just had to go from one spot to another. I would say it was pretty comparable in terms of the actual course itself.
I was a little surprised because I thought early on that the 1 seed would be in the middle and then 2, 3, flank them like you do in swimming and track. But they went all the way to the left. So Ryland had to look 10 lanes over basically to his right if he wanted to see who was near him. And I don't know.
Which came into play on the women's race.
Exactly. That was exactly what I was going to say.
I said it first.
You did. But yeah, some of the close finishes is like, ooh, maybe if you could actually see them instead of being 60 feet away, it might have made a little bit different.
Yeah.
I think snake seating is the way to do it. And that way the camera can see the main race the majority of the time, and it builds in the underdog story. Like someone can be in lane 9 and swimming and no one knows it, but it's cool because they were the last seed in.
Right.
You don't want someone who's the last seed in, but everyone knows is actually a monster to be in the wrong spot. So yeah, I like seeding it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and it took us this long to talk about round. The most overall impressive over the weekend was certainly him with a first and a second. My point with the Triple Crown was that he was almost able to do it at the elite level, and it was, and people weren't even really able to do it at the age group level, which is just like, pretty crazy.
And another name, honestly, it's probably going to surprise you. I think Ryan Kent, after a really tough fit, coming back, getting second in mile, and then outkicking Marcus for third in strong. That was a good for his mental game, I think.
No.
Nah.
Disagree.
Kent is an athlete that I can never fully figure out. Because when he quit, I shouldn't say quit, when he DNF'd in fit, I thought he's either going to win mile in everything else or he's done for the weekend. And it was neither of those things. He was able to hang in there. And then in strong, he started fading back a little bit. And I'm like, this is it. Like he already dropped out of one race. He's tired. He's not feeling great. We all know he's sick. And then he hammers back down and burpees like mad and gets back on the podium. Like he doesn't abide by the normal performance types of an athlete. And I just can't figure out like ever what he's about to do because he's his own individual. I just can't figure it out.
He just kept gearing himself up mentally at each race. He was like, all right, I was able to make it 20 minutes in the fit, so I'm good for the mile. He's like, I faded about 10 minutes into the mile, so I'm good for the strong. He just kept like working. He's like, and I felt it. I'm all right. But he was straight up sick. He wasn't feeling well. He really was not on his game in any way. So for him to even like kind of create like rate of perceived exertion adaptations within this different type of fitness that he had with this sickness and be able to like, I know what that feels like one time, and I'm going to be able to handle it for the rest of the weekend in this compromised position. Like, yeah, man, it was just all mental for him.
That's what the great ones can do, is they can adapt mentally and create an entirely new narrative out of thin air. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not, if it gets you to the performance level you want. So where, like, when I say I can't understand him, it's because if I'm in that situation, I'm really likely to drop out of the next two if I dropped out of the first and ended up feeling crappy. And he finds his way back in, and it's impressive. He just continually surprises.
That's the part that I was impressed with. Like, obviously he won 2 world titles last year. It's like he didn't walk away with any this year. How can that be a good year? But I was talking about the comeback basically and keeping his head in the game.
Nah, I don't like it. That's last place so far of what we decided.
I have a question for you, Rich.
Yes.
Saw you put up an episode with him and yourself.
Did you listen?
Right. I didn't.
No, nice.
Because I was getting through the races first.
Mhm.
I just had a limited time fixing internet, all this stuff. I had stuff going on.
Got
So
it.
I didn't listen to it. How far did you get into your leg?
Of what?
Like the listeners right now,
oh.
do they know why you DNF'd and everything?
Yeah, we talked about it for sure on the podcast. So basically,
are we covering this today or are we not?
we can talk about it. You want to talk about it?
Yeah, for sure.
Of course.
Let's talk about it.
It happened this weekend.
We love excuses.
But I got like,
It wasn't a pre-race excuse, though.
He took it to the next level. Some people
I got
posted
like
about it.
700 words written up
You got
of excuse.
Yeah, you barged into like American Airlines Arena, said, "Give me that Mavericks doctor." Let's go.
I need this special attention. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know who I am? Get out of the way,
Yes.
Luca.
Excuse me. So I felt like things weren't going well. I'm a week behind where Kent is in terms of his virus already picked up. BK, I text you on Wednesday, like, I'm not sure I should go to this thing. What are your thoughts? And you're like, you gave me both sides of the advice spectrum, which is expected. You're like, hey, either go or don't go. I'm like, this is perfect. No, but you definitely were helpful.
You can't make a decision like that for somebody.
No. I really just want to kind of get your what your experience was. Yeah. And like, so Wednesday was awful. Thursday was also awful. Friday, I woke up, my chest was clear where it wasn't the days before. So I was like, cool, maybe I can do this thing. Wasn't going well, went out conservative. Everything was conservative. And then it just like, things started to kind of fall apart. My bike was rough. So if I finish this race, I'm finishing 8th to 10th, probably.
Really?
Probably. I wasn't going forward. I definitely wasn't going forward.
Because you were in like 6th or so when that
yeah.
happened?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I was in 7th, so 6th.
You Kent and Magida, right?
I was right there with VJ and
Magida. So best case, probably 5th with how you're feeling. More realistically, 8, 9, 10.
Well, best case, 2nd, because Magida ended up in 2nd. But
that's true. With how you're feeling. Yeah.
I was not going forward.
Yeah.
And then after one lap after the bike, right at the entrance, basically, I felt what I can only describe as like a pop in my Achilles. And I was like, and I looked back, like something hit me. I looked back, nothing was there. And just immediately stopped, just pulled off to the side and kind of stopped and was kind of grabbing, touching, and then touching my calf, touching my Achilles. I was like, okay, then things seems like it's ruptured. And it just kept running. And then it was like grabbing. So I stopped, took my shoe off, and like was just kind of like trying to figure out what was going on there. But it was still like some discomfort. And like I thought I might have ruptured my freaking Achilles. Like, I don't know how that feels. I just like know what the signals are of it.
And like, you heard a loud pop, you said?
I felt like a pop.
Felt okay.
Yeah. So like I was like, I'm done. Like I could still move it, I could still walk, a little bit of discomfort here or there. But after that, I was like, I can't risk this in any way. So went and saw some specialists. They were like, your Achilles is intact. You're like, it seems like you're fine. It could be the plantaris, which BK, you have some family experience with. And he actually said like you can feel some relief. And over the past couple of weeks, I've felt like tightness in both calves and Achilles areas when like waking up or after not moving for a while. And now the left side where I felt that pop, I don't have that anymore. There's still like a little bit of discomfort, but I don't have like this like general tightness that I had. So I think it may have been a plantaris tendon, which is a bitch ass tendon connected to some bitch ass muscle that doesn't really do shit. So
I want to know, you said that you got seen by some specialists. You got seen by the Dallas Mavericks doctor. Like how'd you pull that off?
Got connections, man. I just made some calls. No, my brother has connections. He made some calls. He just happened to be in town because he was at the Cowboys game with some friends. And he just took me around and they're like, yeah, there's a Mavericks game tonight. You can go see the doctor. And I went in there and the doctor wasn't like, he was doing nothing. I went there like 6:30. The game was at 7:30.
You went to the arena?
To the arena.
That's pretty sweet.
It was sweet.
So crazy.
Went under the stadium. Like,
drive down in
tickets. You just
drive
went down
in. Yeah, like where all the players were parked. Jeez. And
put on your headphones, put on your shades, and just walk in.
I was swagged out too, man. My drip was on point to be in an NBA arena. Gotta be. And Yeah, like, it just went in, saw, like, met with, someone who does operations. She took us in, and the doctor was just there on the phone and, like, laid me down, did the whole thing. It was like, sometimes it could be like this plantaris thing. It's definitely not your Achilles. So I had so I was definitely mentally relieved. So I came out of the weekend kind of feeling grateful that I have the ability to keep going. I wasn't jealous of running all these other things, mostly because I felt so bad, like, up in my chest and head. So I was just a spectator from then on. But I'm gonna make it. Gonna take some time off. BK are giving me some guidance on that as well. But I think I'm gonna be fine. Like, I
It's
can run
wild.
right now.
It's wild. I went my whole life without hearing about the plantaris, and then my sister tore hers 2 weeks ago.
That's crazy.
And how Rich does. Like, I've been hearing about this thing for the last week or so, like messaging with her. My dad's chatting with her. We're talking about, like, why do we have this vestigial thing? Why is it non-functional? But it's functional enough that it causes you issues if you hurt it. But
10% of the population doesn't even have it.
It might even be more, like 20%.
It's like the wisdom teeth of, like, your calf muscles.
Yeah, but it's like underneath in there, and it doesn't really do a whole lot.
Right. It helps with knee extension and ankle extension and knee flexion. So, like, it crosses two joints.
Mhm.
So that's why something like a sled push, it could kind of, like, where you are working at extending your knee and flexing your ankle, whatever. It can, I think, irritate it. So I think that's why.
Like, so she partially tore, and she's dealing with ramifications. She said her teammate had it fully tore, and they just took it out.
They do that. They take it for grafts for the Achilles tendon. Like, they'll just take it.
Wow.
It doesn't really, and that's what the doctor says. Sometimes people get it, like, manually, just like they just undo it, and then it, like, makes so. There's soreness because there was a trauma there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just like general swelling going on, and I'm not exactly sure if this is what it is. Like, I should probably go get some imaging, probably see somebody, but I got to figure that out right now. There's a lot of specialists here in Colorado that are sports specific, so
yep,
that's good.
Yeah,
it's hard to watch.
Go ahead.
It's hard to watch. Like, this is a big buildup, and you were the champ last year, and we're invested in this, and it was hard to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't if I was so focused on this, I wouldn't have done the races that I did beforehand, compromising my immune system, compromising my body. So you just can't be ready for all of them. Me in particular, can't be ready for all of them, and it just how the chips fall. So
there's some science, there's some data that shows that women tearing ACL, PCL, MCL, meniscus, it rises when they're menstruating. And I wonder if there's some sort of viral thing that Kent gave you.
Something?
That there's like post-viral, if the plantaris is just like on high alert to be snapped. And Kent did this.
He just straight up being like, "What is that? Cranberry juice?" He just hit me with one of those right there. I'm like, my bad, bro. It's like, you.
Yeah.
But we're doing all right. We're doing okay. But yeah, that could have been a thing. I was hopped up on medicine. Like, sometimes those NSAIDs can have can put the tendons in compromised state. So I was crushing medicine, trying to feel better. So maybe it has something to do with it as well. Yeah, but that's an interesting point. I don't know. Was your sister sick? I mean, it's
no, I'm saying this is just Kent. I don't think this is science. I'm just saying that Kent gave you the virus, and then you were compromised and you got hurt. And
yeah, it's definitely his fault.
Assassin.
It's definitely his fault. 100%.
Yeah.
I got one more. Marcus Wallace.
Everybody, my hero.
Lots of people got Wallaced. You were one of the only people to have been Wallaced before this weekend, but he came out, and he was in all three events. Hasn't competed in this space for very long. Had a tough break at Chicago HYROX, where I think he would have gone under 60. Mm-hmm. And he comes out and wasn't very specifically prepared for this, and definitely got noticed and impressed a lot of people with a podium finish in mile and a 4th place finish in strong. He ended up closer to 10th or 11th, I think, in fit.
He got 11th.
But he participated in all three, where there were some athletes who only, I think, 8 people were in all three. So for him to get in and around the podium at 2 of those is really impressive. And I think it's just like
in year one.
In year one, exactly. And he was there. He's competitive. He was pissed about that 4th place finish to Kent. He was like definitely bummed about that.
Half a second, yeah.
Yeah, he thought he was in second going into burpees, I think.
Rylan had a a crazy burpees. Yeah.
Maybe he was in third then.
He
I'm
was,
not
he
sure.
was in third just behind.
Yeah.
And you could see on the stream, like the work rates weren't aligning. And it was starting to
He's
come.
tall,
come,
man.
come.
He's so tall.
And
That's
he worked hard early.
Yeah.
Like he used his strengths early, and he was off by what? 1 second, 1 rep. He came up 1 rep short.
less than a second.
Yeah.
So that's
11,
huge. They
18,
talk
3,
about
11, 18, 7.
That's super close. They talk about some losses look better in hindsight with time. That's what Wallace did for me. I left that day with him, like this random gym owner in Milwaukee,
414,
who has never run anything that I've heard of, just beat me by a minute in a DEKA sim. Smoked me. And now I look back like, man, I was a minute off the podium. I am the man.
You just nominated yourself. And I think I'm going to second
my stock rose with Wallace this weekend. Yeah. I have a stock board of just me here, and I'm raising myself up.
Yeah. I think invest now.
Debo's not going anywhere.
Nope.
There's a lot of change to be snapped
came through
in these next few years.
Yeah. And then the last one, Camilla 432 this weekend.
Yes.
Huge.
Getting better and better as the weekend went. I mean, she was one that could have won the fit for sure coming in, could have won the mile for sure coming in. And this is a position that she hasn't been before. Right,
with a broken finger also.
With a broken finger. And that's not, and that needs to have intervention. Like, this isn't something that like, oh, she like jammed her finger and then it popped it back into place. Like, this is something that like would affect everything that you do.
Mm-hmm.
So
I've dealt with it.
Yeah.
It's not, ski erg. I don't know how you do that with the boxer's break.
Ski erg, row, farmer's carry,
grabbing the burpees,
ram burpees,
all of it,
sled,
anything. So and like she just and she got better and better as the weekend went along. So I think that she like really was wrapping her head around how to compete at the top and win these type of championship events. Before we move on to HYROX, there was certainly some controversy here. Just in general, the standards, like,
so bad.
We got to do something. And I think that this athlete judge program that they tried to put in was like, hey, we get these athletes who are participating. They know the standards, so they'll be able to judge better. But judging is less about knowing the standard and more about holding people to the standard. And that's hard. It's hard to be like, that's a no rep when people are working really hard and you're trying to see all these different points of emphasis and then telling someone that it's a no rep when they're trying their hardest is something that like, it's like, oh, it's easy to be like, oh, that's a no rep. But when you're there trying to talk to somebody and giving them like bad news, it's hard.
All right. So I watched one live. I watched Chicago live, and then I watched this on screen. And in both instances, I saw some pretty, I'm going to say, egregious cheating. And there's a difference between bad reps and cheating. Bad reps are when you're doing bad reps, and then you're talked to about them and you make an adjustment and hold that. Cheating is when you do bad reps when someone's not watching, and when someone talks to you about it, you fix it until they leave. And then you go back to doing bad reps. And if you go back and watch, that occurs this weekend. And in HYROX Chicago, I saw some really, really terrible burpee things happening. And then we saw bad burpees this weekend, and we saw some gray area lunges and some truly bad lunges, people circumventing the rules. And in both situations, it cost serious time. On one, I counted about a 12-second gain someone made on burpees, who was, in my book, should have been no rep on about 80% of their burpees. And I don't think it was close. So it's really bad to watch and see that we have a fitness-based competition that requires judges, and we can't make judging stick.
And that's one thing Yancey says is like, he'll excuse me, the athletes in the elite, right, who know better. He says like, do me this favor, stand up for lunges. It's bad for optics. And it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. But like, it is bad for optics.
Super
and the way that the burpees look, because there's this thing that's happening now. People will
push forward.
People will bring the ram overhead, and they will duck their head down, and they will bend at the hips to get that, to like reduce the range of motion. And instead of doing that and then standing up, which whatever, it would be like kind of like a jerking motion, and then like standing and finishing, they continue with their chest on the way down and then bring the ram to catch them. So it's like you're kind of moving in two directions. As that ram goes up, your chest is going down, and then they're on the ground already. And it's just like, what's stopping you from like bending your knees then and just like standing there and just like crouching and doing it? Like it just like they're it's not good.
And in one situation, someone that I saw doing poor reps, Yancey came over and corrected them. And they did 2 more reps, gave a glance. Yancey walked away and went back to doing the old style.
Because
reps.
he's the only one holding anybody accountable.
To me, that's a DQ instantly. Like you're trying to cheat.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like it's a world championship. You've been warned, you know better. You're a pro. You're disqualified. You get to be warned, sure. But if you go back to it, it's either no rep every time or retroactively through video, like the old Spartan days, which sucks and no one wants it.
Can't do it.
Or we just got to tell you, like, no rep or you're out. The other one is that the push-ups are getting really bad. Some people are going right down and touching the chest, anywhere from sternum to here, and other people touch like the abdomen.
And that's allowed by the rule.
Yeah, and it's only like a 2-inch difference in gap, but what it allows you to do is spring all the way down to here, or only shift 2 inches here, but gain like 4 inches in your shoulders out of the next push-up to standing up already.
You're in a better position.
It cuts out tenths of a second on every single rep because you don't have to drop down. You just have to thrust your hips. And even though there's like a 2 or 3 inch difference in target, it has a huge difference in upper body. And those optics are horrible. If I tuned in to watch this, I'd be like, I don't know what we're doing, but we look like a bunch of seals, like humping the ground here. That's not even close to anything we're supposed to be doing. The optics are horrible on that.
I think it stinks that that basically both that involve a ram have bad optics, like the first and the last zone. Everyone, you're tuning in right away. You want to see what happens, who gets there first, and then you see jumping lunges and people not standing up, and then you want to see you cross the finish line first, and you have people doing that semi squat, like push forward technique you're describing, Rich, where it's just that's just sloppy. Like get it up. You probably heard me on the mile coverage. Few people, I was like, you got to get your arms up. No way. And they couldn't hear me, but right there on the spot, my natural inclination was like, that's not a rep. Like you got to get that up if you're going to count this. And
it's just like the way that it's that races can be determined by this judging where it can save, like BK said,
it cost a podium
12 seconds.
Look in one of these instances.
Look at the women's race person. For DEKA Strong. Wasn't it 3 seconds for the top 4? Or for third through sixth place were 3 seconds apart.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Third and fourth with Raquel and Carly and Tara was right there as well. And then Janelle Teal. She was in a different heat though.
Something like the lunges. I think it's simple enough to say each knee has to hit the ground.
Just walk them. Just walk the lunges. I don't care, because then the hip doesn't matter as much. Because we're trying to watch the hip and and the feet. It's hard to judge.
It's hard. I think that it matters to me less on that. Like, do the hips come full? Like, who cares? Let's just not even count it. Let's go to a version of lunges where getting down and some of the way up while progressing forward matters. But the burpees it's the same thing with wall balls or with like the burpee broad jumps. There's too many points of contention to get it right with one non-professional judge. There's just too many points. So like with the burpees, you have to watch chest, you have to watch hips, you have to watch ram, you have to watch head clearance. Like there's just too much. And when you do DEKA, which is 25 reps or less on everything, it's so fast that people are going to rush, and the reps are fast. Even wall balls are relatively slow reps.
Yes.
So you can clearly watch 2 points. I think that's not beyond a volunteer, but 3 or 4 points in a fast rep, it's too demanding. So either the rep, what the standard needs to change, or we get back to, do we have to choose a new exercise?
Are we in such a small sport that the people who judge know the athletes and they're like, I like that person. I don't really want it. And 100%. As opposed to like, I'm just going to be a hard ass. Too bad. Like you didn't do the movement standard. If this was me and I was next to you, I'd be a little pissed if so-and-so got a free rep when they really didn't even do the motion, but I had to do the proper motion.
And I love not having movement standards because it allows forms, styles, and variations to play into it. Like the sled push and pull, you have several different ways to do it. And that's part of it. Like you can just try to backpedal very quickly and gain time, but you're going to blow out your VOM. You know, that you have to choose what you're going to do. Where on burpees, it's just too much gray area. So I don't know if we're yet to the point where we have to change the actual reps, but maybe we just have to be comfortable with shaming people out of the sport or into compliance.
A couple very simple things, like you cannot lean your head forward. You have to have your head up on this rep. Like, I think that would change.
I think that they just need to be, I don't think it's that hard to judge complete lockout.
Yeah.
Make contact.
Not have room above the head. You need lockout.
Lockout and like a pause, like you see at the end of a jerk or something like that. When someone's doing a jerk and they dip and don't stand up and it comes back down, it's clear. Like, you know that like it looks away. Like, it looks away to be stopped at the top. I just think they just need to open it up at the top and then bring it all the way down. Like, the chest part, I don't know. That's tougher for sure. But just make them lock out. Instead of like the head, they thought the head clearance was going to be easier to judge, but it opens up ways to skirt around it.
All right. Yeah. So we make it hand release. Chest has to be release. Hand release, lockout solves everything. Your work is in between and how fast you cycle out of the bottom and out of your lockout. That right there, I think, solves it.
Those two would be great.
Yeah.
Like, Spartan caused this trouble by letting bad burpee forms happen way back in the day.
Yeah.
And saying, be like, well, there's only a hip hinge. No, like, it's either vertical or it's not. But if we can't do that, then they resolved it with stadium races by doing hand release.
Hand release
that works.
So let's just do that. Let's do hand release lockout.
Yeah, I agree. The dead balls are getting a little sketchy too sometimes, where it's like
not over the shoulder,
not on the side.
Go to the side, and people are starting to dip. Like, they're not standing up; they'll just be dipped and like kind of tossing it over the side, which again is a little bit. It's like,
I think it should have to touch the top of your shoulder and go over, not like a fluent release like that. That means you're clearing it.
Yeah, because people are throwing it from like their chest. Yeah, they're just kind of like maneuvering their way around,
shimmy around it,
and it matters.
It does matter.
The cycle rate of the rep speeds up like crazy when you don't have to lock.
Last thing, overall, awesome weekend. Very positive. Community's great. People are being competitive. I love being in this event in particular because of how competitive people are, every age group all the way up, and seeing how everyone is elevating their performance and the depth of field across all age groups is improving. Changing the sleds on the day of the World Championship and not letting the athletes know, like, I heard like secondhand like months ago, but like no formal announcements, like, hey, surprise, look at these things. Yeah. They had multiple settings. It wasn't like 3 and 4 like for the torque tank. These have settings from 1 to 10
or something, maybe?
Yeah. And so there's quite a big difference. There may have been a case in the women's strong where Alondra's was set at a different setting, and it really changed in the course of that race. Like, her tank was visibly faster. And that's the other thing with this, like with this magnetic resistance, when you push into it, like, it will only go a certain speed, and like it's clear of what it is. And so when someone is going faster than that, like, it just doesn't pass the eye test. So I think there was some mess up on that end as well, and that could have happened across different heats over the whole weekend.
I saw 3 sleds on the coverage that looked different at the turnaround points. When you pull back and then you start, there's that, it slows, it stops, you push, and it goes. And there were 3 different times I saw sleds that like jerked back forward. Like, you stopped one way and started, and it almost like the tires like spun and moved right away. Like, there's clearly a different resistance, and you can see it really clearly when force is applied in a different direction. And hers was one of them. Hers was the one that was happening, the only one I saw amongst top 5 competitors. And so it really stood out with pace. But at least 3 times I thought that sled looks a little jerky, like light, like it's underloaded, which means it just, there was a difference a few times.
It's not her fault, right?
It's not like she grabbed the handle and was like,
she couldn't have known. She's like, I'm smashing. I'm catching this up. And it's like that late into an event.
And in an event like Strong, where you have your lane, it's like you're just relying on, hey, they set it up properly.
It should be. It should be set up.
And it could have been like clicked halfway between one.
Something like that.
Yeah. And as soon as she touched it, it clicked one. This is no way, shape, or form on her.
No, absolutely not. And like, what are you supposed to do about the results then? Right? Like, in an event
Can't
like
calculate
this.
It.
Not really. Like, you can't be like, oh, well, she gets a penalty for something that she didn't opt
Yeah, like
to
a blanket
do.
1 minute penalty like Spartan would do, and or 10-minute penalty. Like that
Spartan race
doesn't
would penalize her, but
yeah,
It's
but
10 minutes.
that
10
doesn't
minutes,
reflect
easy.
like the energy demands that it would have been. And it's like you can look at what she did in different events and see that. But yeah, it's really hard to decide what.
And she was
unfortunate.
closing.
Yeah.
And she may have won either way. We don't know. Like she may have been targeting that.
Yeah.
So to punish her, it's unfortunate that it occurred, but it has no bearing on her.
No.
There was a comment. There are a couple of people like, well, we don't know who the champ is, or she's not the champ. She is the champ with an asterisk. Like we can't say she's not the champ.
No.
Because you can't prove that she wouldn't have been. You can't prove it. But
you almost can't prove that it was a different sled. Like we could lean toward that it was. I actually walked over to try to check it out.
Yeah.
And it had already been switched to the men's. Because in the next heat, the person who had that sled, it was like, oh, that person is flying, and ended up in a really good spot.
Oh, for the same thing with the women's in heat 2?
That was like Janelle's lane, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, but you can't prove it.
It's a tough call.
Yeah.
Tough situation.
There's photos I've seen, and it's like, yeah, I think that's different, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's just unfortunate. You know, it's crazy that they changed the sled in that moment. Ultimately, it didn't really matter that much. It seemed like it felt kind of easier.
If you look at the splits, though, like Ryland's going 216, and a lot of people who are typically
dusty ass floor, man.
In the 2 teens, 220. I don't think it was necessarily faster.
Championship venue.
In the warm-up area, we were like, this thing's going to be done in like a minute. This is so easy. But I think once your heart rate gets up, like everything comes back to reality a little bit.
So overall, awesome weekend. Second DEKAFIT championships of all
time.
Much
improved versus last year, I would say.
Hopefully they will continue to exist. We don't have too much time to talk about HYROX, but I think we should move on really quick just to talk about, because there was some big things going on over there. On the women's race, Meg Jacoby took that W and set a new world record, just a couple of seconds faster than her previous. I think it was 58.
All right,
What's that?
2 seconds?
I thought it was 5-ish.
4?
I think she was 58, and then she was 58.
59 before, I thought.
Something like that.
She said it as she crossed the line. She's like, new world record. So.
Yeah, she knew the deal. I'm going to pull this up right now. And then Lauren Weeks found herself in a battle with Linda Meyer in that second place. Ended up putting about 30 seconds on her just on wall balls alone, but they were back and forth the entire time. We saw Michaela Norman debut this championship season, finishing 4th, qualifying for that World Championships. As projected, we figured she would be in 3rd. Linda Meyer just gave that to her. That was a completely different race. I thought, when I saw these results before I watched the race, I thought Linda would have caught Michaela late, but wasn't even the case. Linda caught Lauren in the pole, and then they were battling the entire time. And then Rebecca Mason,
all smart, saying those 3 are going to spit one of them out, and Linda will catch her. Linda said, "No, I'm going to do it for you."
For sure. That's really encouraging on Linda's end. Like already having a qualifier, and like, you know, she's going to be in this mix. Man, she really is. She finished in 61:02. Michaela Norma 61:32, and then Becca Mason took that 5th spot that we debated about. Villeneuve was right in 6th, so we weren't too far off, Jack. We were projecting that. So Becca Mason punches her ticket to the World Championship. So
it must be nice to have raced in the second one and got 4th and 5th of the first one because of the roll down.
Right?
Yeah.
Jealous.
Still have a Plantaris?
I know. I would have that whole thing.
Yeah.
Busted ass tendon, busted ass muscle, doesn't even do nothing.
I haven't watched the race, to be honest, just because I flew back on Sunday and just didn't have time yesterday, but I absolutely will. But just looking at the results, why was it so fast?
BK, thoughts?
To me, the runs looked a little short in terms of the way they spread everything out. Maybe the runs weren't short, but the rock zone didn't look as long as Chicago. And outside of that, I don't know. Maybe people are in better fitness. Maybe you had
in 3 weeks.
Yeah, they didn't have. I mean, fitness, it doesn't just mean like your muscles and like what your max is. It also means like how prepared are you. A lot of them didn't have to travel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. To me, I don't know, Rich, if you agree, but it looked like the runs were short.
When looking at the results, that was the first thing I thought. It's like they just didn't measure this thing right, man. They just gave these runs like they just cut them short. Watching the video, it was 2-lap course, big rounded turns. Like
they were round.
The floor
like
was
double
not
round.
Yeah, like it was like never having to slow down. The floor wasn't like this typical dusty ass concrete. It was like perfectly clean. Like looked like there would be no problem with grip. It could have been just a perfect storm. Like, what if we had the best HYROX course?
Yeah.
Like, what would it look like? Could have been this. They changed the grid a little bit where they had a couple places that like Farmers was off the grid.
Farmers. That's a big one.
That saved about 30 seconds for real.
Really?
Did you see that, Jack? What happened with that?
No,
like I said, I haven't on the grid.
I'm trying to avoid spoilers on the coverage. I know the results.
Okay,
but
so the setup was you came in and ran to the grid. However, for Farmers, you came in and did a basically down, back, down or something like that, Farmers.
Yeah, you entered and exited in different places.
But it took you from the in to the out. So you walked in, 2 steps, picked it up, dropped it, 3 steps, and we're out.
Yes.
So you skipped maybe 60 meters of the next run or something, whatever it comes out to.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Because you have to get to the grid and off the grid. This circumvented the grid, and you reduced at least 50% of the turnarounds. And because they were lane turnarounds, not out back turnarounds, it was 50% less turning, if that makes sense, on top of 50% less turns. So that right there could have been the entire swing.
I mean, I think this course, there are no fast and slow courses. They are F1 courses. But this course ran about 2 minutes faster than Chicago, which was a fast course.
Fast one.
I think on the Farmers carry alone, you would save 20 seconds on the carry, maybe, and up to 20 seconds getting on and out because of no rock zone, because it was baked into the carry. So let's split the difference and call it a 25 to 30 seconds swing on that one station. That's significant.
That's fair. And there's a big wacky rock zone for wall balls. It seemed like they were running for forever to get into wall balls. So I think they made it up sometime, but the way that it was all set up, I think they could have screwed up the measurements of the actual run course itself because like everything was in a different spot, and that was different than the actual layout of the open pro course. So like that measurement might not. That measure that if it had did that work? The arms up in the way of my arms.
It wasn't loud.
Nice, nice. Or if I had hit my microphone, it would have been like rattling. That they may have screwed up the measurement a little bit here or there, but being that these championship races don't mean that much on time, it sucks that these times then do count toward the Elite 15. But basically, all the Elite 15 is going to be the same for the rest of the way for the rest of the time HYROX exists.
Counterpoint to me saying maybe it looks short. There were some things optimized for sure. Is that no one ran anything crazy outside what we think they could run.
I don't think that's true.
Like if you,
I think it was 2 minutes fast.
You think two?
Did you see the men's results? Like what people did a couple weeks ago versus this? Like, I know we're talking about the women.
There were 13 people sub 60 and all of that, but these are all people who have gone sub 60. Like it seemed like this was your course to PR on, but it didn't allow you to do things you're not capable of on your best day, is my take. Like I said, Hunter was going to come out and set the world record because I believed he was in fitness to do that. I didn't think Alexander was going to be right there with him.
It was 2 minutes faster.
But then you see a bunch of people in there who ran within 30 seconds to a minute of their PR. And some of them slower than their PRs. But they all did it on the same day, which means special course.
Special course for sure.
There was
just
more
because this was a
variance
special
than 30
course.
seconds, I feel.
I feel as well.
For some, not all.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was a guaranteed +2.
I mean, just watching some of the way that just watching these athletes in both genders and then seeing how they were performing and then seeing their finish time, like it just didn't add up eye test wise. It's like that person is struggling. Oh, they ran 58. Like I don't think many people can struggle and run a 58.
No,
you didn't even do that. Like
what's that?
I said you didn't even do that in Chicago.
I was thriving.
Yeah.
Hunter could struggle and run 58. And then who else?
They're like
that's the question mark for me is why was 9 through 13 sub 60?
Right.
unless everyone was on the same heater where they're looking at their watch going, I'm going to PR today. I don't care that I'm losing. I got to stay on it.
But we know that's not the case.
I don't know.
But
We know.
if
I
you
just don't
look
want to
at
be
like
all negative here.
Yes.
how many new names entered the Elite 15 this year on the women's side? Like you had Lauren
Few.
Griffith and Camilla, I think just the two. But like no one was really. We saw Jezebel race several times, and she was like 66, 66 or 66, 67, I thought. And
She's 7, yeah.
yeah, and now everybody's like 63, 64.
Yeah, right.
It just seemed a little faster than what everyone had done so far this year. And I know that
That was DEKA.
when you have some more battles, like you have more fit people all around your ability level, you're going to drag each other to a faster time most of the time. It just seemed like it was a little bit fast.
And just
Well,
because
yes.
just because the course was fast does not mean we think you
No.
suck. Okay? Everybody relax.
Yeah.
I'm not taking anything away from you.
You still have the
wasn't-
head-to-head battles.
And that's what
That's
this
what
like,
determines it at the end of the day. But
they should just
Lauren
not even
ran
have times at
Lauren's
all.
time.
Yeah, but like that's Lauren's time when she's at her best. Like she did not look at her best.
She ran what would she run in Dubai?
she was just under 60 in Dubai.
59 something, yeah.
59,
so, I mean,
50 or something.
What is the first thing I said? It looked short. I just also don't want to be that jerk American who watches and be like, oh, all these courses are like.
Well, Chicago was fast too.
It was just
Chica-
optimized.
Chicago
Yeah.
was the fastest time in the world up until this race.
I'm only basing it off of we saw people race 3 weeks ago and suddenly they're noticeably faster.
Better day.
That's the reason why I'm like, wow, that's pretty surprising.
And ultimately, it doesn't really matter, right? Like, this is a race for
Yeah.
finishing place.
If you finish sixth, you're not making it anyway. Like you have to race who you face on that day. I'm just saying the times, and
I'm saying
we kind of throw time.
1 minute course, 1 minute travel.
Okay, fine. But it was 2 minutes. So Hunter did break his world record running 53:22. Ronchevich
fast.
ended up in second, 54:16. Huge PR for him. Bo Wills ended up in third, a surprising third, really rallying, coming through. He finished, I think, 14th in this race in Chicago, and then running 56:0, which is a 2.5 minute PR. But he definitely was on one that day. Sandbatch,
24 on the wall balls. Did he go unbroken?
he did go unbroken.
Okay.
Sandbatch, he runs 56:34 with a PR and qualifying himself for Worlds. James Kelly, JK, running a massive PR as well, 56:41, and solidifying himself into the rest of the major qualifying races, which is a big win on his end. There are currently 11 athletes who have automatic qualifiers into the rest of the majors. So only 4 people, if they all show up, will get in on time.
For the men?
I'm looking less and less accurate the more you talk.
Yeah.
2.5 minute PR, 2.5 minute PR, 3 minute PR.
All the way.
That's why we're saying 30.
I'm going to
30
turn
seconds
into a
or
crusty
minute.
American again and say this was the most ridiculous course we've seen.
I mean, these guys are getting, he's got 13th place, gets 59:40 and never once in the race. Like,
Bracken, you're going to be like Skip Bayless when he has one take and then 2 weeks later he changes his mind and they have all those him debating himself clips.
I will never be sitting here with fake hair, massive amounts of cosmetic surgery,
Good.
a turtleneck, and a chain.
If you had hair, it'd be fake hair because,
Anas was 60:34. I talked to him. He was cramping at the second station and still ran his second fastest time.
And he fell off the face of the earth and ran 60 flat.
He couldn't run. He said he took a minute break at wall balls.
Did he say why he
minute
thinks
break.
this
He had a hard
happened?
time with he had a hard time with travel.
Huh.
Yeah, and I mean, he definitely got out hot.
Yeah, this was his
Shout.
race to make the Elite 15 because his wife's having a baby in a couple months, and
He just went for it, man. He went for it.
Just going for it.
I liked it, and I couldn't help watch that and then watch DEKA the rest of the weekend and think, man, he might even be better served in DEKA
Yeah,
because it rewards middle distance runners more than HYROX does.
big time. And he's a miler. You know, he has that high anaerobic threshold and he can run really
Highest.
fast. Yeah, totally. So I guess that's really all. Anything else? I mean, the course was fast. Oh, a note on the judging in Stockholm. Best judging I've seen in any of these hybrid events. Like,
What they
He
do?
got on Hunter.
the judge didn't. Mintra walked across the grid and corrected the judge. Like, those are not up to standard because he does this thing where he drops his hands right down, and then as he goes down, he jumps his
Scoots up
hands
a little,
forward. And like he's Hunter, man. It's hard. It's gonna be hard to no rep him, but Mincho is not having it. Like 3 times, I think, made him go back.
Yeah, he went back at least 3 and was talked to on it. It was
He still
interesting
runs
watching him
22.
trying to not do it. It was so ingrained. He's done so many reps of it that he had to double tap even in place to keep his rhythm. Like he couldn't not double tap.
He was tapping, and then instead of going forward, he was going out. Like he was still moving. So like it
He
was
had
a
to.
good correction, right? Yeah, exactly. You can't like necessarily change the way he was doing it.
Yeah.
One thing they were doing in the burpee broad jumps is that the judge would move alongside of them and place his foot where the line that they could step forward would be. So there was a visual, and then it really couldn't be argued.
One person was.
Oh, there's
There
arguments.
was one person stepping ahead pretty consistently, but within like 4 inches of their hands, which is still cheating, but it wasn't the 1.5 we saw in Chicago.
Still, right. Yeah, the old slide and drag, the Michelius.
All I've learned is it doesn't matter. DEKA, HYROX, hybrid is just full of you can't do the form.
This was the best though.
It was good. It was, and like they were all in the same positions. Like you could tell that they were told how to like what to do, how to do it, and they followed through. Like they're all in the same position for wall balls, like kneeling down next to him, looking up, looking down. Like they were just in the right spots, and
they were verbal,
and they were helping. Yeah, like so. I thought it was very impressive on that end. Coverage was extremely impressive. They cleaned up a lot of the stuff, added some things that I thought were really good. Then like they've really come around with this. So I think that it's very encouraging because like we've come from a space where it's like we'll complain and we'll point things out and nothing changes. They noticed the issues that they have, and they're doing their best to address it, which is like actually kind of awesome.
So between OCR report at DEKA Worlds and HYROX stepping up their game, this was a good weekend for hybrid production.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
All right, we got to get to drafting. Jack, you want to set this thing up? I got to go to the bathroom. I got to run real fast.
We're gonna have to fire through this draft.
That's fine. I've got them typed in already.
Oh, you forgot to mute. I love when people leave the room and forget to mute.
Oh yeah.
If we go real quiet, it's too bad we can't play with the audio board and crank his up.
Oh no, he's the host. Damn it.
Yeah.
That makes it tough. All right. I'll just do some filler right here. Rich isn't here. But if we're gonna go over what happened at DEKA Worlds real quick, I won, or sorry, you won. You beat me by 1 point, Bracken. You were 35-36. Rich couldn't even.
You won.
He couldn't even pick people who had a pulse. We scored top 7. Rich had 6 finishers. He quit on his own team. Kent bailed on him because he knew that he didn't want Rich to score points, but it wouldn't have mattered.
What happened with Alex Walker?
I don't know the specifics on why she dropped out, but she came back for mile and strong, did pretty well, as kind of like Kent, not as a podium at the end of the day, but she bounced back nicely after having a rough showing there. But I know that she was also chirping about the movement standards, so I think that she's a little fed up with some of the bad form as well.
I don't know how you couldn't be unless you're the one who's benefiting from it, and there's only a few people benefiting from it.
Yeah, I agree. Yep, I did my fastest ever lunges, and it was 43 seconds. So
good job.
And I was still like 6 seconds behind everybody. I'm like, all right, I'm still not cheating enough.
You broke 60 in the lunges. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, no, I was mainly happy. Like realistically, this whole season could have been a wash because my knee injury 6 months ago. So I basically got on the air bike at the same time as Aaron Nolan and Mark Paulzine, and they ran 31 mid, like 31 teens, 31:20 or so. So for 2/3 of the race, I was there with only running like 100 miles the past 6 months. So overall, I'm happy with how it went. But anyway,
if Kent and I get 1, 2, and fit, do we then? Would I have won last week?
Last week. All right. I'll just add it up real quick. So I'll do 1, 2, 3. Your top 5. So you're at 34 plus 3. You're at 37. No.
And the displacement that would happen.
Well, that's a lot of what ifs. And you already said the best you would have got was like 8th.
No one was beating Ryland that day.
Yeah. So we're the same time I ran last year.
Oh yeah, if you take you from last year, him this year,
if it was like 3 weeks ago, I think if Kent and I were both ready,
I
don't think he's like gonna kill us. Like, what is he gonna freaking? He runs the same time that and he runs slower than Kent's PR. Same as my PR.
Real quick though, just so we can get this thing streamlined. We're looking at this is the final draft of the year, and we're both 10-8, Rich.
Damn.
And here are the points.
I propose
have
a triple or
advantage
nothing
on me.
wager for this week.
BK, you lost. We can do the pizza eating challenge as a 3-way.
I propose a triple or nothing wager for Abu Dhabi 3K.
I do not accept.
No, I turned that down. This is something that someone who's in last place would want. But anyway, Rich, you are leading me 2 points in the entire season right here. So you own the slight tiebreaker.
That's with a 60s. I literally sabotaged my own draft by taking Kent last week. And
right
I'm
here,
still beating you.
World's toughest mutter.
I did this on purpose. And you're trying. I did it on purpose.
I get it. You wanted to make it interesting this week.
Yeah. So keep that boast to
Kent were just
yourself.
rubbing their noses on each other all night.
Just get each other even sicker.
Just snuggling.
All right. So let's take a look at what we're gonna do for the draft. Oops, that's Stockholm. Wrong one.
Stockholm.
Oh,
it's Stockholm. Why is this not loading?
Oh my goodness!
All right, you guys talk. I'm gonna figure
Wheel
out
names it.
Wheel of Names.
Let's Wheel of Names this thing, and then
it's embarrassing how bad I did this year. I'm closing, but it's not gonna look good.
Yeah, man, you stink. Can you see this? What's up?
Do your screen share.
Didn't work.
I'm the only one who hasn't screwed up technology on this.
That's true.
I sent you a screenshot of it, so I don't know why
we good to go
through.
Expanding the screen. We ready?
Yeah, I'm gonna be typing in the background.
Here we go. We're drafting this last draft.
Oh, give me that too.
Jack. This is great because he is now responsible if he loses because he chose it.
I haven't had the number one pick for a long time. Oh man, just looking at this list, I think it makes the most sense to get 2
spot. All right, BK, what we gonna do? Oh man, that's as close as it gets. That's
what
as
do you
close
want?
As it gets. I'm not telling you.
You know, I'm sticking with what was working. I'm going to take number 1 again.
Numero uno. Good. I wanted 3 anyway. I didn't even look at these names yet. So we're going to draft.
I know one person's there because I was messaging him today, and that's it. That's all I know.
That's all you need to know. We're going snake style draft, cross country scoring style, lowest point total wins, 2 different outcomes in each. So at the end of the weekend, we will be either 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2, as it is head to head scoring. What else? We're going to do 5 men.
I'm in last. I can't win.
So you can't win.
I'm just here to play spoiler.
5 men, 3 women, because we have we're assuming it's going to be a bigger field, but we have confirmed.
We have 15 confirmed
6-4-1.
women that I was able to talk with.
Yes, and usually Jack's
1-5.
Jack pushes to get all of his people that confirmed with him able to be drafted, and that never has worked. Yeah. And they're always like, "Oh, I'm actually not going." And Jack's like, "Why would you lie to me? That hurts my feelings so bad." But still believes them every single time. And
talk about how there's a beast also.
There's also a beast, BK.
I'll talk about it because I want to. There's a beast day 2, and it is cannibalizing people from the 3K.
Craziness.
Which is just like mind blowing to me, because if you consider yourself a beast specialist, 1K, 1K, 3K benefits you way more than a sprint specialist. And at least part of this is going to be in soft sand and in the dunes, which totally takes away the speed component. This is a grind 3K as much as it is a speed 3K, unless they come out with a course that just is like totally outside of what we expect to happen, which could happen. There's history for that, but
precedent.
There's so much money on the line for the 3K that it seems like people would only be doing it out of spite or just to say, hey, I want to be fresh to win myself a world title because I've never had a world podium. I'm just going for that. I don't care about money. I just want the title and I want to be fresh.
They're calling that a world title?
Well, I don't know.
What?
Last I saw, it's the World Championship Beast,
Freaking Spartan.
or it's the Beast at the World Championship weekend. There might be a different medal. It's going to go in the Instagram profile either way. You know,
Hunt it. Freaking at DEKA, how many World Championship? We had dished out 6, not gender specific. Well, 3 men, 3 women, and then 3 teams. That's too many.
There were like 16 world champions.
That's way too many world champions. So we need to chill with this.
I'm going to buy my blue check mark this week.
I think that's a good idea. It's a good investment. Patreon money.
All right. What's the order? Marks. Who was first?
Me.
BK.
Always and forever.
Then it was Jack Bauer. And it was your boy.
Bringing up the rear.
Like that turnaround. I don't mind it one bit. So it's going to be exciting. Are they, in terms of coverage, what are we expecting?
Well, we were promised this new sport expanding coverage for Trifecta, and they didn't cover the first 2 races, only covered the Beast, but did a fairly good job covering the Beast. Like, you got a lot of footage, much more of the men than the women, which is, I guess, OCR on brand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what to expect.
Are we Bracken, you on the mic?
Steve Hammond's broadcasting.
No, I'm not on the mic.
You're on the mic?
Steve Hammond is.
Solo? He doesn't need a partner out there?
I don't know who's with him, but he told me
Watson
to help him come up with like a little cheat sheet for him.
Look at this women's field. Okay.
Rich, you're up first.
No. BK's up.
Yeah,
just kidding. Bracken, you're up first.
BK on the clock. Last draft of the 2022-2023 season. Started in 2022? No. This 2023 season.
Our first race of the year was Palm Beach.
Nice.
There are so many men that could win this that I just won't even pick a man, because I'll be able to pick a winner in round 10. Also, since I'm only here to play spoiler, I'm only picking international athletes to screw with Jack.
Let's go.
All right. Give me Lindsay Webster.
Woo.
Nice.
The most Canada. American international athlete you can pick. Not insinuating anything other than that we are Eskimo countries. We've shared contact.
Correct.
Not us personally, the country borders.
The countries.
To be very clear.
Very clear.
So Lindsay has a super world championship last year. All those beasts. I think she has 3 of them the first year in Abu Dhabi, 2 in Tahoe. Now she can add 3K to her repertoire.
We've only seen her once this year in Palmerton, and she
Palmerton
murdered everybody.
What about Greece?
I'm saying for
3K style.
Oh, okay.
But she crushed Greece as well.
She also crushed that.
Well, she lost one of them.
I don't think you lose in stage racing.
So. And she won by 1 million.
She also failed more than I thought she failed. I was on the treadmill last night watching a little bit.
Oh,
she failed the balance.
There has not been a balance beam in Abu Dhabi, correct?
Correct. There was one in Dubai one year that your boy raced.
You raced in Dubai?
You hear about that ever?
Did you go there?
I don't know. Maybe the second time canceled out the first.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, that's a good pick. I'm not mad about that pick.
Yeah, the 4-time world champion at a world championship. But anyway, I'm going to go with the woman who finished second behind her, Esther Hortobagiova. I think that she got second in Abu Dhabi last year, ended Lindsay's unbeaten 2020s winning streak with a victory in the Super at Greece. That was the first time Lindsay's lost this decade. And why wouldn't you pick Esther at this point?
I like it.
There's a reason why.
I have nothing to add to that other than that you stumbled over that name a little bit, and it was very, very apparent, and we all judged you for it. But having watched the Trifecta Championship, where they couldn't pronounce anyone's name, and they laughed about it and joked that, oh, we're Italian or whatever, it kind of made me just feel great that other countries don't know how to say names just like we don't know how to say names. And so let's just go nuts with it.
Nice work on pointing that out, BK, to Jack. That makes me feel happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We had our spelling bee for the Goofy Games. Maybe we should have a pronunciation station. It rhymes also.
Station. What did Esther get? Did she win the European 3K?
Corinne Carlson did. I don't think Esther was there.
Right. Has she done a 3K? She's had to have qualified here somehow, right? Or does that not matter?
She got points from going to Greece and like doing several. She won like 10 races this year. She definitely
you can get in on points that aren't 3K points.
I thought so. It's 5
to
cumulative
worlds?
points for. I thought so. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe she did a 3K. I don't know.
No, your scenario makes more sense.
I thought it was 5 total for the year, but some races are worth more. So if you run enough local ones, like you can get your 5 point. I think that's the scenario.
Clearly they weren't like having people knock down their door to get in on the women's side.
Rich, who are you going with? Back-to-back picks?
I'm going to go ahead and take Ida Matilda Steensgaard. That's the reason why you wouldn't take Esther here.
No, you just got to be dangerous.
This is right up her alley. I mean, she's done a couple of these races now, so she has experience. In these races, where'd she end up finishing in these?
Mexico, she ended up winning.
She was,
and then she got
third or fourth in Big Bear. Third in Big Bear with the double carry, which we won't see that ever again because no one had fun.
They don't have enough sand there.
I bet we see a double carry.
I bet we do. I hope we do. Triple carry. There we go.
I mean, that would open up the field, but it will probably, if we see a double, it's going to be like the double pancake. Or I'm
hoping for a buddy carry. You have to carry the person next to you down. They carry you back.
That's some tough Mutter stuff. They've done that.
Yeah. But yeah, and then she did Palmerton also. I know she was on the podium there. I don't know if Chris ended up being ahead of her or if Ida got second.
Chris may have been ahead of her. So Chris has beaten her a couple times here.
Yeah.
But and Lindsay's the only other person who has beaten her. It's a good format for her. She has experience here. I'm sure she's been circling this one on her calendar.
Oh, yeah. And Ida also got 7th in the Beast. This is a much shorter distance. She's a much better 3K racer, but she can clearly run in the sand for a long time. Has an efficient enough stride.
Exactly. She has experience in this venue, or is it's a different venue than last year?
Different venue, same but whatever. City.
Still, same area,
general vicinity. Yeah,
same style of racing. So she has a lot of experience in this. So I like her for this spot. Then give me VJ Jones here. Give me the.
I thought you were going all women. I was like, give me that.
I'm taking VJ Jones. This men's field is pretty stacked, but VJ. Well, we need to see it. We have not seen VJ versus Rylan or VJ versus Atkins this year. Atkins in his only 3K got
DEKA behind Kempson.
Beat pretty handily by Kempson. And VJ is undefeated in this 3K format. When this came out, where everyone's like, wow, this is set up for VJ Jones to do well in. This is it. He's been traveling abroad several times this year, so he's going to have a good sense of how his body's going to feel. Second time in Abu Dhabi, and he wants this, man. He wants this to punctuate what has been already a legendary OCR career at only the age of 25. So
he can rent a car now.
Rent a car. He's stronger than ever. It's as fast as he's ever been. And the obstacles are the obstacles, man. No one's better than him.
Is he as fast as he's ever been?
Pretty close.
Because that would be the only question with him is, have we ever seen him show up to a championship event not having focused on that event? He usually
15K at OCR Worlds a couple of years ago.
Okay. It's fair. He usually is the master of showing up at the height of his abilities. And I don't know if he's at the height of his abilities right now for this test. He's probably the highest across the board he's ever been. But he's a master of peaking. And I can't say he's peaked.
Yeah, he was what, 20-30 seconds behind Nick Riker, who just ran 26 something or 26 low for 5 miles. Like his running's going to be fit enough at the moment.
All downhill for Riker.
Yeah,
downhill 8K he found.
Yep.
All right, smart choice. VJ should be the number 1 pick on the men's side.
Nice.
I'm going to go with Elisa Petrova because she is podium tier. She lives local, knows how to run on sand. I think she's a safe pick at the moment.
Is she healthy?
She ran a race 2 weeks ago in Hatta, I want to say.
Yeah.
And she won the women's race by a good margin.
Okay.
Yep. But
She's
bottom line,
healthy. She's
she
the
has
pick.
2 podiums in Abu Dhabi, second place and third place. So third place behind Annie, second or maybe third place both years because that's
a huge advantage, man. It's a huge advantage to not have to travel this far and know how to navigate it. She's been in big spots. She's been in podium contention in the World Championships past 2 years.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, can't complain. I don't know what her.
I didn't want to pick back-to-back women at this point because there's so many good men on the board right now. But I was like, yeah, she's still here. I'll do it.
She runs well. You know, you wouldn't imagine the 3K would be like too fast for her compared to the competition. Yeah, it's a good pick. I like it.
Yep.
She's a very good pick, but I think that you missed out on the chance for someone who could win or go top
I'm
2.
well aware. Yeah.
And so I'm going to take that person, Rylan Shadig. He's fresh. He's untraveled. He's unraced. He's primed. He's ready to go.
This is where he needs to be.
Yeah.
Sports specific. I just proclaimed he has the best engine in the world. Got to ride that engine.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's been pretty much bulletproof the past couple weeks. The last time we did really see him not like impress was in this 3K in Mexico. But that was
after 3 separate races in one weekend. Like,
oh yeah, what's the difference between that and right now?
That's a very good point.
And he did some team stuff too, so he actually has another race under his belt.
Yeah, he's not. His lead-in is the type that I would only take 2 people in this situation, him and Chris. But since he's one of those 2 people, I'm taking him. And
I mean,
if it finally, his chickens finally come to roost.
I think that's correct. I think that's correct.
I have no regrets. And I'm going to balance him out with Ryan Atkins.
Wow.
I was hoping it slipped to me, but
could you take Defoe here? Of course.
He gets third.
Could you take Angel? Maybe you should.
Keep telling us,
Ryan
people.
Atkins.
Yeah.
I mean,
Jack, I don't like that sass out of you.
I just want to know who you're thinking of. Like, go ahead.
He's won a world championship on sand.
Yeah.
He's a second place on sand.
And he's looking different. When we saw him in Palmerton, he, to me, was coming out of his lean ultra stage. He got very, very what we would call thin for Ryan. And he's back to like he was getting a little bit more like muscular by the time we got to Palmerton. And now seeing him in Trifecta, he looks like OCR Ryan now. Like he has the ability to adapt his body a little bit to whichever event he's going after. Just pure volume, I think, does that to a person, and lack of strength training. He's back. So while we didn't see him at his top in Palmerton, I don't think his body was prepared for that. I think he's ready for this.
Yeah. So Ryan Atkins has run 8 Spartan Race World Championships. He's won one of them. He's got second 6 times. His worst ever finish was 4th.
Yeah.
Mr. Reliable.
Different format. We'll see. I mean, you can't argue with it, but I'm glad I don't have to be forced with like making the decision to take him or not. Thank you for taking that out of my hands.
Now, absolutely.
And I got to stay international.
Keep it international, man. You're doing great. Rylan travels so much. He's basically international.
Yeah, and he's an alien.
So Bracken, I think it's really thoughtful of you to have a husband and wife pairing with Lindsay and Ryan. I'm gonna have to go with Alyssa's husband, Sergey Pereligan.
Nice.
There you go.
He has 2 OCR World Championship 3K podiums in the past. Lives local. One last year in the Middle East. I don't know. I can't leave him on the board.
Nor should you.
He was picked in like the 4th or 5th round last year when he won. It was kind of stupid by us.
Who picked him?
I want to say Rich.
Probably.
Yeah.
And super smart out here. I mean, defending world champion in a completely different race, but maybe not. Total volume of the 3Ks. They're doing the same format, right? Like it's like prelims.
Mm-hmm. Take the top 2/3 and then cut it in half for the finals.
What for the women?
I'm guessing.
That's dumb.
It's only gonna be 5 people in the finals.
I have a typo.
Which means there's only one female finalist left on the board.
Oh my God.
In theory, if it goes chalk.
There are more racing. This is just who I talked with and was told by other athletes who are traveling with them.
So yeah,
Chris really isn't going.
If you want to take her, you can. But
no, I mean, like, did you talk to her, or is she leaving you on red?
Her leaving me on red. She said she wasn't racing earlier. I just didn't follow up with her when I talked with her this weekend because I thought this was her last race of the year.
Gotcha.
Or DEKA was her last race of the year. Sorry.
Gotta be gearing up for Saudi.
She's gonna be scary there. All right, back to back, Rich.
I'm up. I'm the one who's up. Give me Richard Heineck here, the European champion. Right?
Yeah. He's got a good first name.
Solid first name. He really boned you during the trifecta weekend, so I'm excited about that. He clearly
it's kind of like when you pick Kent, doesn't work. When I pick Heineck, doesn't work.
He's on my team, so because he doesn't like to perform well for you. But really, I mean, he's big, strong, fast athlete. He's performed under these circumstances before in this area of the world. So I like it. I don't know what to do here now.
Pick a guy, pick a girl, one of them.
One of the two. Somebody say something about Heineck while
Heineck's really good. We saw him drop out a Trifecta World Championship for the final race. He was dealing with a stomach issue. It's not going to be an issue this time because we were like, oh, what the heck? Why is he? You know, we're used to him making his move in the super, not really caring about the sprint and working his way up the leaderboard with a couple minute gap heading into the beast. I was expecting a little better from him, but then we found out he was sick, which it's just that time of year people get sick. So hopefully he's recovered and has a little bit of good training these past few weeks.
he got it out of the way.
He's also won like 9 times in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
The Middle East, yeah. Because they throw up more prize money. He's had plenty of battles with Sergey taking him down and travels here, Oman, Bahrain. He's raced there. So yeah, he's well traveled.
Then give me Manu Dufois.
Mr. Third place.
Dufois taking him with the 6th male taken. He's gonna get 3rd. So that's
it would be right. So last year we saw a 40-plus-year-old athlete from France take 3rd place, Jeremy Gachet. He will not be here this weekend. We're going to see a 40-plus athlete potentially take 3rd from Switzerland this year with Manu Defoe.
I mean, he's been doing this series all year. If anyone knows how to navigate this, it's going to be him. And he's done. He did the Worlds last year, right? Has he raced on sand like this?
I want to say he was like right around 10th, if I'm remembering right.
I thought, yeah, he was at World Championships, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like 8th to 10th, somewhere in that range. He can run on sand. You see his stride, you know he can run on sand.
Yeah. Going dudes.
Well traveled also. You know that guy can get in a plane and race the next day.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. She's too good to pass on. Yanka Popova, not Yanka Petrova.
Ooh.
You had the wrong name there?
Yanka.
And then you took it? I saw that name and thought it was I didn't know who it was.
You want it? You want her?
I think you should be.
Goodness.
I'm letting you make the decision right now. You had
Rich, have you block carded?
No, I haven't block card. I'm not going to use my block card when someone's cheating for someone.
No, if you want Yanka, go ahead.
You thought it was Alyssa's sister?
I don't know. There's a bunch of names on here. I don't know.
If you want her, Rich, go for it.
No, I'm not going to take it because then if you beat me, I can be like, you cheated because you did just cheat. So
I did not. I was typing him in while you guys were giving the intro, looking at my phone because for some reason it didn't save him.
Procrastination is no excuse for incompetence.
I sent you the list ahead of time. But anyway,
say the wrong name on there.
So you do not want Yanka. I
Don't
literally will let you have it if you want her.
Don't want it.
All right, I'll take her.
Unreal.
This just in, she is not related to Elisa.
There we go. No, I do not have sisters on my team that I'm aware of.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about athletes who have raced a ton of 3Ks. She ended up 3rd overall in the series, traveling from Europe every single time. You know, she's definitely, I think she got 5th in the super last year. She can run in the sand, travels really well. Hopefully that calf injury that was holding her up in Mexico is no longer an issue because that looked like she was kind of labored in her stride.
This is a
I'm
really
upset.
dumb question to ask. Are we scoring 5 this week?
I was gonna ask that
7.
as well. Are we
We're
scoring
scoring
7 or
7, but we're
6?
6 men, 4 women, and then 1 wild card, whoever you want.
Okay.
We're gonna score 4 women. No. We're still scoring 7 or 6.
Top 7.
We are still scoring 7.
Yeah. That's what we did for Palm Beach. We did like 7 men, 3 women, 1 wild card because of the confirmed names that we had.
Craziness. All right.
All right, back to back here. So we, ooh. All right. I think I'm just not going to overthink this. Angel and Leon.
Nice.
Give me speed and obstacles, and give me speed and obstacles.
Yeah.
Leon used to be obstacles. Now he's both. He's had success in the team race here in the past. I think he's had top 10. Did he go top 10 at the Super last year?
No,
Or in the
I don't
Beast
think
the
so.
year before?
No, he was like struggling with Ian Hosick a couple years ago. But Leon is already over there and has been for a few days. You know, he's ready.
Angel can handle heat. He can handle sand.
Can he?
Just put a whooping on everybody. The last time they raced. Granted, it was at altitude, but a bunch of those athletes live in altitude. I don't know if he's faced sand like this, but he's a hot hand. You got to roll with it.
Was Manu in that race?
Yeah, but he had the knee thing going on. He was just there to finish and get his check.
Yeah,
right. I was thinking about taking Angel last time through.
Yep.
I like
the way I see it. I have 3 people that could all win this race on the men's side. And there are so few women that I'm just stacking up on men early.
The tough thing about Angel, we've seen him travel to the US frequently. I don't know if he's ever made a trip overseas.
That was a concern of mine as well.
Yeah, that's the only, because we've seen time and time again, international travel favors those who have done it before.
It does. My counter to that is that the more anaerobic and short an event is, the less it matters. I know this is a convoluted day, and by the time you get to the 3K, it might matter again.
Yeah.
But I think just getting to the final isn't going to be his issue. And once you're in, crazy things happen in the final.
You're not wrong. Yep.
But yeah, it's valid. We haven't seen this from him.
He's probably the most fit athlete on the board at the moment. Like, he's won a 3K race. Who else can say that on the board?
In his international travels are really long. Like him racing in Palmerton, that is a long travel. Him racing in Seattle, that's like us flying to the UK. So even though he's only gone to the US, where he starts his journey from in Mexico is not just like,
he's got to clear customs, and like it's a longer process than just getting off the plane and going.
And he has a lengthy drive to the airport to begin with. So I think that his travel hopefully counts for more than what we're used to with people that don't travel overseas often.
Yeah, no, I absolutely would have taken him right here if he was still on the board. So he could win the race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Leon's my pick for most improved this year.
For the Okras?
Yeah.
Could be.
Yep. Okay, so one last time, we are doing 6 men, 4 women, 1 wild card.
Yes.
Confirmed.
6 men?
6, 4, 1.
Or do you want to do 7, 3, 1? What do you want, Rich?
I guess that's fine.
Okay.
We confirmed 6, 4, 1 before we started, and it influenced my really lengthy draft preparation.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna get all the women out of the way for me.
You got Philippines. You got someone else stashed on there.
Philippines.
Someone's font's in white. It's like, oh, this name here is it's in white font that you can't. You didn't see that?
Yeah. Hey, I gave you the opportunity back to back.
I put Eileen Tolentino, but I meant Nicole Miracle.
Yeah, but that was Chris Brogloski.
I feel like if you read Yanka PE, you're probably gonna
check. I don't know who any of these women are. Who says there's not a Yanka Petrova that does OCR?
That's Yanka Popova. Anyway, like I said, I gave you the right. If you wanted her,
okay, I'll take her.
No,
Pencil me in for her next round.
too bad. I was taking Manu if you didn't take Yanka, so it would have just been those two picks flipped. But yeah, Philippines has run the 3K for their series this entire year, and Sandy has won every single race. I don't see a reason why Sandy won't have a great performance. So picking Sandy. And that's also my dog's name at my parents' house.
Nice.
Menchie?
No, Sandy.
Oh.
Yeah. Back-to-back Rich.
All right. I'm going to go with Nikolai Dam here.
You got fifth in Abu Dhabi once.
Keeping the dudes rolling. Where are we at?
And Nikolai has something like 5 top 10 finishes at OCR Worlds in his career, and a couple of them were in the 3K. So, you know, he's very obstacle proficient and can run on sand.
Yeah, it was a good pick.
And he's over there already.
Yo, give me Balin Bean up in this.
So like I said, these people who are in italics are registered for the Beast. I do not know 3K? If they're running. No, okay. That's why I shaded them, put them right along. Like
I see.
They're in the Beast. They will physically be present, but they did not say whether or not they're only doing one or the other.
Never mind then.
Yeah.
Your word is your bet.
Give me Pavel Hodinia.
He always delivers.
Dudes.
I think he was 8th last year in the Super.
Been on sand.
And he was on the podium at European Champs. I thought he was 3rd place. And if not, he missed it by like 1 place. So
yeah. I like it.
Rich, you see Mervin's back?
I think he's there because he didn't finish
slip
yet.
Wall, dude.
Yeah. He hasn't finished his race.
He hasn't gotten off that slip wall.
It's the best. All right, my pick. I'm going the guy who won the FISO 3K, Gianmaria Savani from Italy.
Nice.
He also just took 2nd place in Rome, about 3 minutes behind Gregory Basilico in a Super. So we know Gregory's just on another level in terms of running, but Gianmaria is very, very good at the obstacles. If he can handle a FISO 3K course that's a much more obstacle dense than a Spartan course, you know he's going to do okay at this.
Good pick.
This is where the rubber meets the road. I think it started with the Jan pick. I think through Pavel was roughly in some semblance the highest rated people here, and now we get down to who's done research. And Rich and I obviously are going to win that battle.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take Melissa Campos.
Nice.
She's podiumed in the Philippines in their 3K series. So
she is a staple on top of the podium or on the podium in Asia.
I like it.
That's it.
And
well, I was gonna say, and I don't know who I'm gonna pick now.
Nice.
Give me Artyom Tochka.
Tochka, yeah.
Tochka.
Go on.
Lots of consonants. At this point, you start going with people that you know travel well over to the Middle East to race, and consonant countries travel well.
Well, I've got some Z's for you with another.
Yeah,
guy
Wally Zerbiak's cousin's not being picked by me yet.
Yeah,
but he's on the radar.
Jack.
Yeah, no, Artyom Tochka. I think he got 6th place last year in the Super. He's from Belarus. Very good. He was the guy with like the white backwards hat, just like you're wearing, Bracken.
Jack took him last year. Yeah, that's always a way that I like to pick.
All you need to know.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Eugenio Godinez Romero. He's too good.
Eugenio.
Eugenio Godinez. There we go. That's what I'm going with. Yeah. Not to be confused with Bianchi. He's podiumed in a 3K. He's run it. He's beaten Rylan in a 3K. He's beaten Leon in a 3K. He's still on the board. Got to go with him.
Could be good.
Same deal with Angel. I don't know how he's going to travel internationally. I think he did Trifecta Worlds and finished around 10th a couple of years, or maybe 2019. It's been a while, but
I mean, these guys
international
don't
travel is going to be the mystery.
these guys don't travel well to the United States, man.
You're not wrong, except Angel.
But really fast road runners somehow seem to be able to fire off well in the sand for a while.
What are they going to? What do you think Angel's going to have on them feet?
Probably the SL20s.
Something like that. It's gonna be
No
something.
grip, no gators. Absolutely not.
No need.
Definitely
He's
not.
moving too fast. He's levitating.
He's on top of that sand.
It's magnetic.
I might even go barefoot, honestly.
Burn those
1K?
soles of your feet.
Well, I mean, I'll dip them in some tar and let it harden up or something, but don't have to deal with sand in your shoes.
Got it. Rich, back to back.
Hook it up with Klara Lokachikova.
There we go. That was pretty close.
That's not bad. You just say all those letters. Make them.
You just described a reading.
I just said all them letters, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't. Sometimes the letters that are there, you don't say them. You don't make those sounds. But in this case, you say all the sounds. She was. I'm doing some research now. She actually finished in front of Yanka Petrova.
Yeah.
In the series. So she did some racing. She finished, I don't know how this series actually played out, but she was third overall in it. So that leads me to believe that she will do better than last. And
I want to say she raced in Abu Dhabi last year and did pretty well. She's always on the podium at a lot of the European local races and does pretty well in the series as well. So she's definitely the best woman left on the board still. Not anymore.
Then hook it up with Wally Zerbiak's cousin, Gregor Zachiva?
Zachiva? Almost.
Zez, I don't even know. Where do we even go with that?
It's a Chekla.
I think it's Chekla.
Chekla. See, that Chekla should have like 5 letters in it. That has like 10.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like half of those letters.
Spelling that, like when you learn to spell your name, you had Rich Ryan. That was this guy's
easy.
got. You better work
that
on those
CH
Z's.
blend. That was the tricky part.
What's up with them Z's? What mechanism are the Z's?
I think that's
tripping
Poland, where you often see a lot of like silent Z's like that.
What's the point?
Because not everybody speaks English and they spell things differently.
Do they say it like that? Oh, they say it in Poland.
Yeah, it's Grzegorz Zajitetchekla. That's how he says
when
it.
When they do the ABCs in Poland, is when they get to Z, everyone just like stop. Like, you don't say it. Like, there's no sound for Z.
Yeah,
and
X, Y.
ABCs up there.
They're just mute.
It's also not called Z because they don't speak English.
What's it called?
Exactly.
It may not even be written that way.
Your ass doesn't know what it's called.
Listen, I'm not here to provide answers.
This is my favorite part of the show.
All right, Jack, you're up.
All right, give me Peter Vanicki. I know Bracken was going with them. You picked him at one point. Yeah,
Peter,
yeah, you
Petter.
were. Not anymore. Well, he has the same name as Bracken's dad, so I'm like, I can't let you have him.
My dad's name's not Petter.
Oh, it's Pet. Isn't it Pete? Peter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete. Peter Frank Crocker. My kids call him Peter Tank.
Peter Tank. That's awesome.
He's a physical specimen. He's a tank.
He's a specimen.
Yeah.
How's his?
I give him that work on the regular.
What's his plantaris situation like? Has he got one?
Intact.
It's probably full
unneeded.
strength. It's probably just beast.
Yeah, he's done well at Worlds. Best guy on the board, probably still. Yeah.
I am going to take Chris Davis as an athlete who I believe I can count on to be on the powerful obstacle proficient side. There is always someone like that who gets into the final in these events. He's used to racing in heat. He's an expat in Asia, and I'm taking him. He did not play for the Orioles, despite common confusion.
Despite a massive contract that got voided. But yeah, Chris was just outside the top 5 at APAC championships a couple weeks ago. Pretty consistent.
You got something else?
We have now entered the stage of the draft where I pick all wild cards in hope of hitting something.
I've been there.
Allie Tibbetts.
Oh, you're going actual wild cards.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You only need 7.
Is she even Jack? She definitely not going.
She's not going.
You don't
Be
know.
surprised, but
I mean, people do lie to Jack.
yeah, that's
I
true.
am in last place. I
Kempson, you
cannot
gotta
take
pick him,
anything
right?
other than last place.
That's true.
And so I'm going out throwing Hail Marys on my last few picks.
All right. I'm gonna have to go with Jan Vladar. He was on my guys under 25 to watch list a year or so ago when I came out with that.
He's on my
weighs
guys
like
under 25 calendar.
you own that.
Got him.
Yeah. But anyway, he ran a 905 3K a couple weeks ago, and he has been solely in 3K mode for the past couple months. One of the best racers out there. He's got like 20 podiums or something. And I don't know. I believe in him.
Is 905 good?
He's teaming up with well, when he weighs 195 pounds, that's pretty good. But anyway, he is teaming up with Esther in the team race as well.
Darth Vader off the board.
Mm-hmm. I talked with him last night. He said he hoped that I picked him, so he'll be happy to hear this.
You talked with him?
Yeah, I was asking him, "Are you racing?"
On the phone?
And he's like, I messaged him.
Oh, you chatted. Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah. And he was like, "I hope you pick me in the fantasy draft," which means he listens to Race Brain. So shout out to Jan.
Homer.
Yep.
Big time Homer pick. Give me
I like
Mochila.
watching where Rich is going to go here.
Mochila.
I'm excited. The backpack off the board.
Carla
Ran the
Mochila.
trifecta.
I believe she did. I remember hearing that name.
Bracken drafted her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's my third woman off the board.
Carla won with Bubbles in the team race, so that's a good first name to have.
Anybody who teams up with Bubbles taking a dub.
Yeah.
Hopefully this is
maybe you pick Kevin Gregory.
Maybe there'll be an assault bike in this 3K.
Yeah. Well, that happens. Sandstorms happening.
It's for sure. Some Darude. I'm gonna draft Darude next time.
Okay.
Am I up again?
Yeah.
You are. You need one more woman.
Oh no. Give me Anouk.
Anouk Garnier.
See, you don't say the A there? Make no sense. Or whatever they call an A.
An A?
A.
Yeah, I think she was helping. I'd have to look it up, but I thought that she helped with the trifecta coverage. Like she was one of the commentators.
Nice.
Yeah. I might have that mistaken, but
she's fresh, but tuned into the sport.
Locked in.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
It's like drafting BK.
Hey, real fresh.
I might take BK as my wild card out here.
All right. Well,
if I was a woman right now, I would hop on a flight.
There might
go make
like
money.
I said, there are probably more who I just didn't
all
hear
in white
back
font.
from everybody. Yeah. But like the dream team, they're not doing it. So, a lot of the top women will not be there.
Was that a political statement?
No, they're just, they haven't really been in the series the whole season, realistically. Yeah.
I mean, this is an easy one to win. So
yeah,
maybe it's less easy to win. So
well, we're all right. So for we've been talking about how being local to the area is a really big benefit. We know that Mervin has been hanging around that slip wall for the past 2 years.
Oh my God.
So I've got to go with him.
Take him.
He's a former 150 800 runner and like a 347 1500 guy, and he has won at least one 3K race in the Philippines this year.
Now, I don't believe this is the same Mervin.
This is the same Mervin.
It's not the same.
He was leading, because they just aren't used to facing really, really good guys.
Did he have another name in there last time? Was he a 3-part name?
Doesn't sound like the Mervin I know.
No. Right. No, this is Mervin Guarte.
The Magic Man.
Magic Mervin. Mervin Magic Johnson.
If he's a 150 guy, he might just take it.
Yeah. Team Philippines, they're traveling strong over there. So,
and we don't know if there's going to be a slip wall at this junction of the course that they even have access to using.
Yeah,
that's true.
But like I said, he's been out there, so big benefit.
All right, I'm going to take Chris Rogloski.
Nice, good pick, good pick, good pick, good pick.
And then I'm going to take the homie, Double B.
Balin.
M.
Yeah.
F.
Oh, I thought you were doing
Bean.
I thought you were doing Chris Bob Brown, but
lean bean.
If I had one more pick, I would finish off with a KBB just.
Well, Rich has one more pick. So, yeah.
Jack, what'd you call him? Scrawny?
I think I said frail or something like that. Or
something
neither
nice.
One's a compliment.
No.
Same thing.
I didn't call you scrawny. I called you frail, man.
You just called him a string bean. No, Balin Bean has like 6 wins this year. He is going to be dangerous in that beast, and I'm not even exaggerating. He's like, he might podium.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
I'm not even exaggerating that. He's fit.
You're not exaggerating that he might do something.
That he might podium.
That's like Bracken Crocker level of calling a commitment on a person.
All right. Well, when Balin Bean does really well, you heard it here first. All right, my pick. Let's go with Tess Marites Nokiao from the Philippines as well.
Going all in on the.
Did she go by Tess?
Yeah, she's like Spartan Tess. That's her that's her Instagram handle. But anyway, yeah, I just think the Philippines races, if you've seen their obstacle proficiency and all the 100-meter courses and stuff, and their whole entire year was 4 3K races, they're traveling over there ahead of time as a group. I just think that this is a really good format for them. You might see some names that you're not used to in the top 10.
I like it. Give me Nicole Miracle for my wild card.
Nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were going
on that flight last second at to get to Mexico.
That's a good point. Look, bottom line, even
that hits.
Yeah. You've got Ida, VJ, Heineck, Manuel, Nikolai, Pavel, like Clara, Gregor. If Nicole races, she's going to be displacing someone who's probably still in the top 10. You've got a nasty team.
Whatever, dude. You cheated. Now you're trying to cover it up.
And cheat.
That was as much as anyone could cheat in this draft. That was it.
Well, what if I typed in Brian Atkins? That would have been cheating.
You're going to be the Astros of this fantasy season, and everyone's going to know it.
Clanging on a trash can right now. Just give me hints.
Everyone's going to know it.
Yeah.
You've been exposed.
Yep. So yeah,
I rarely do this, but I'm clearly rooting for Jack now.
What?
I think fantasy sports are predicated around cheating.
Oh, nice. Oh.
And I like the fact that he is just blatantly pulling out all the stops in the championship game. He's piling on a guy who just tore his placostomus.
My plantaris is like throbbing.
I've got an Achilles flare up right now as well. I might not have that extra ligament that Rich has or whatever.
Too.
Yeah, he might be of the weak 10%. What if? How many people have red hair in the world?
Oh, it's like probably 2-3%.
None of them have a plantaris.
None of them have a plantaris.
No.
All right, so we don't know what's going on with the coverage here. Is it Friday or is it Saturday? Is it Friday?
Friday at, I want to say 2:30 p.m. local time.
Are we totally sure it's Friday? Because typically their weekend is different than our weekend, and so they shift.
Check.
Like it might be Thursday?
I just want to double check.
Okay.
We hanging out? Do you guys want to hang out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Friday, December 8th. That is what it says. Elite men, 2:30 p.m. Women also have that as their time. So I don't know.
You guys are 11-hour time difference?
11 hours. So we're looking at like 3:30 a.m. on Friday for
we hanging out?
Maybe not.
We've done it before. It's
Friday.
Kind of
we have done it before.
Let's message. We'll figure it out.
If there has to be coverage though.
There is.
Or Athlinks coverage.
We can fill it
There's
in.
no Athlinks anymore.
We can make it up.
We've got
Maybe
we'll
hang
out.
That could be fun.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. BK,
who's going to win?
3:30.
Does 4:30 in the morning count as day drinking?
can't.
No, morning drinking.
You can't.
Right?
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, dude.
Yeah.
Fit
Maybe we can
aid,
get on that
lift,
Patreon jet and head over there.
Red Lightning or whatever.
Man, am I glad I didn't get on that flight to come down by you guys for DEKA. Show up just to watch Jack blow out his Achilles and rip his plantaris.
Poor plantaris,
had a
man.
decent race.
Sit around in the most depressed Achilles base hotel room ever.
I got to
We're both left also.
You actually do. You can catch it on the coverage. Like I'm running, Rylan already has a lap on me, but I'm running past that station when you see me pull up. Because for a minute there, I was like, because it's like feels fine now. I'm like, did I make that shit up? But I'm glad I got to see it.
Yep.
All right. Maybe we'll hang out.
Boys.
We'll make it happen. So excellent job today. We've gone long for the past couple of weeks.
This was a very heavy episode. Like we had 3 big events to talk about. So
I know it was hard to do. We had to kind of skim over HYROX, but
recap next week. Then the Okras.
Yeah, coming down to it. All right, squad. We'll talk to you soon.